Okay, Israel, Most High Christ bless everybody. All right, so all praises to the Most High for giving us the spirit to come here, fellowship, keep the commandments, and learn what the will of the Most High is. So we're going to open up in 1 Peter 4. What's up, brothers? Brothers that just jumped in. Victor, it's good to see you, brother. Hey, what's up, sister? How you doing? Shalom. So, through the Spirit of the Most High, I believe I nicknamed us, y'all, the BAU. You know what that stands for, right? The Behavior Analyst Unit. And what does the Behavior Analyst Unit do? Study. We study the behavior of Israel as a nation. You got to find out what makes them tick. What makes us tick? What makes us sin? What is sin? How to overcome sin? And then teach it. Teach it and use the scriptures to explain those sins. Okay? So that's what the BAU is, man. That's what we are. We're going to deal with sin and the mind state of our people, why they in sin, whether they were here or whether they were forgiven. We're going to push through. And we're going to tell them and not let us tell us. It's okay to listen. You know, the scriptures do say understand first. But upon understanding, what comes after you understand and hear the situation? That's right. Rebuke. Rebuke. So everybody understand that? That's your job. You're to analyze the behavior by first using the gift that the Most High gave you to listen. That's the first thing we here at the General Assembly going to do. Us here and everywhere else, all you brothers and sisters out there, learn to listen first. Listen. Because you're gonna size them up. Not for the two-piece. Bam, bam. Not for the two-piece. But you're gonna go in and you're gonna try and wash their mind from that. Okay? Y'all understand that? Ephesians 5. Okay, Ephesians 5 and 25. Start where it says, as Christ.
Ephesians 5 and verse 25. Even as Christ also loved the church.
Right, as Christ loved Israel. How did Christ love Israel? Who knows? How did he love Israel? I heard the part. I didn't hear what you thought.
He kept the commandments towards Israel and left an example of how to walk as an Israelite.
Okay, anybody else?
The cross, the contradiction of sin.
14, Matthew 14. So that was Ephesians chapter 5, and we started in 25. So now we're going to Matthew chapter 14. And verse 14.
This is Matthew chapter 14 and verse 14. And Yahushua went forth and saw a great multitude.
So Christ went forth. This was after he got out for ship, where he had been teaching, and people followed him. And so after observing him, and so they were watching him, and he was watching others, he saw a great multitude. Go ahead.
And was moved with compassion toward them.
Right, and he was moved with compassion. What would make you feel compassionate towards somebody? And what is compassion? Let's look the definition up so that you can understand that he was examining and acknowledging people from a distance, from afar. Okay? I think I'm freezing up. If you got it, let me know. Compassion, sympathetic, pity. Pay attention. You can't be compassionate or be sympathetic for somebody if you don't listen to them, if you don't observe them. What is it about them you have to observe? Their behavior. Their behavior. That's why I nicknamed us the BAU. Because we want to observe your behavior. What are you doing? And why are you doing it? Why are you acting out? Now, if you keep the commandments, if you're keeping the commandments and you're doing that which is lawful and right, there's no reason to examine you. There's no reason to go over you with a fine-tooth comb. All right? So, I think I kind of lost it. Just looking at the, here I'm up and going down. That's that one out. So it says compassion. So Christ, it says he was moved with compassion. So what was moved about him? His spirit, his mind was moved because he saw the other people and he felt sympathetic for them. He didn't see niggas. You see niggas because you're not sympathetic. He didn't see the B's and the H's. You see that because you're not sympathetic. Pity. We're the same people. So it says pity and concern. Listen to the definition of compassion. and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. So Christ Yahushua is sitting back and he's looking at people move about, and he see this misfortune of yours fell upon you because you did what? And then he can sit back and he can examine all your behavior and see all the decisions that you are making presently right in front of him, and know, according to the scriptures, why these things happen. So then he'd be drawn unto you and teach you about your sins. You understand? Not strong meat, but milk. I'll go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. So when you get the opportunity, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to teach this Bible. It's a blessing to teach this word of the Most High. How many of you are looking at this thing like this is a blessing to do? I feel privileged, mighty obliged to be of service unto you. Read that. 1 Peter 2 and 1.
1 Peter 2 and verse 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice, and all guile, and hypocrisies, and envies, and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby.
So when you're going to have compassion on a person, you got to feed them like you would feed a newborn baby. You can't overfeed a newborn baby. I'm going to just feed them, gonk, 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 gonk. 100 bottles ain't going to turn them into a little boy, if it's a little baby boy. You understand? Sometimes I'll be like, let them go. You're going to scar them. If we're in the camp and we're long-winded and we're drawn, and I can see it in the spirit of somebody. I said, no, I don't want to scar this person. I don't want to overfeed this person. I want them to be drawn unto the spirit that's with us, that, hey, I helped them out. Let them go. They'll come back. Okay, so you can't just overfeed someone. You got to feed them with the milk of the word that they may grow. But you got to give them something that they can understand. Okay? It don't have to be 10 things, 20 things. Sometimes if we feel like, well, we didn't give them a bunch of stuff, that we failed. That's not true. I didn't tell them every sin that I know that they doing according to these scriptures, because they ain't repented as an Israelite. They still don't do your hair and hurt you. Every sin, because I didn't correct them on every sin, I didn't do a good job. Okay? You ain't gonna correct them on every sin. You don't have to correct them on every sin. Whatever the Spirit leads you to, whatever you see, right? Whatever you see. It might be selling on the Sabbath day. That's when a lot of brothers go out and the prophets prophesy. They might be dressed the wrong way. Sisters, don't expect brothers to give you some slack. You got the denim jeans on and stuff like that. You would expect them to say something to a man that's got a dress. Why wouldn't you expect him to say something to a woman that has, what is that? The breeches on. So he's going to say something to you about that. You say, oh, sister, you know that we do have a dress code that not we, God the Most High, that you believe in, he has a dress code. Why is it so important? Because it separates masculine from feminine. It separates order. It's the comeliness of the Most High. That's why it's written in the scriptures that you should not do it. You help them to understand a few other things, and then you let them go home in peace. And let them feel like, hey, I got that. I need some more. Give me something else to do. Whenever somebody's on a project and this truth is a project to us, they're going to be like, hey, man, you know, I want more. We don't want them to feel overburdened to the point to where they're like, I can't handle that. You know, you're requiring too much of me. Who are we? These just messages of whom the Most High has sent out to people. Okay? So, desire the sincere milk of the word that you may grow. Give them the milk that they may grow. So when Christ, back in Matthew 14:14, he was moved with compassion towards them. Read the latter part.
Matthew 14:14, last precept. And he healed their sick.
And he healed. And he healed their sick. Okay? A lot of times people are sick in their minds. A lot of times people are sick in their minds. Can we heal their sick mind? Yeah, because they're troubled in their mind. And when we see them troubled in their mind, then we can give them, you know, the things that make it a little easier, make it a little better. You ever been talking to somebody and then they say, I feel better after talking to you. I feel better. Thank you so much. They were sick. Their mind was sick. Their mind had them spirits that was on them, that was making them sick. But then once you, through that comfort of the scriptures, let's get that. You know, once you bring that into them, they're going to be Israel, man. They're going to be good. Okay? Once upon a time, they felt, before they came to you, they were sick. You don't know how long that they were dealing with what they were dealing with. All you know is that they needed some type of help. And then what'd you do? You come in and you spoke to them. You had something to say. You showed them the word of the Most High. Then they feel better. Romans 15. Romans 15 and verse, you start at verse 1.
This is Romans chapter 15 and verse 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves.
Right. You see, so when we looking at them and we see their infirmities, their sicknesses, we see their spirits, then we have to deal with those spirits that's on that person. And not to please ourselves. Not to please ourselves with, we ain't going to deal with it. It's within hand's reach. The spirit is moving you to say something, and you don't say nothing. You turn into Jonah the prophet. Jonah didn't want to go teach at Nineveh because he didn't think that the people was going to repent. A lot of us think in reverse. You think backwards. You don't know as you ought to know. People that you think are going to make it, don't make it. People that you think not going to make it, make it. You don't know. You don't have no control over this spirit. It's all in the Most High's hand. Your job is to be able to analyze the sickness. See is that right? I got to write backwards, so y'all excuse me. Change the order. Your job is to see the spirit on that person. That's your job. To look at that person and see their demons. Is that right? Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm ready right with the. Other way?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you got. So you got to go another way.
Was somebody else want to come and write for me?
So listen, our job, okay, downline, yeah, that's it. All right. Our job is to see, write it regular. Can't write it regular. If you write it regular, then it's going to look backwards to you. So, our job is to see their demons. And when seeing their demons, you got to have control over yourself. You got to have control over yourself when you're seeing the demons. Because you have the Spirit of the Most High in Christ inside of you, they'll be in subjection unto you. Yeah, they'll know you. The person has got to want to do what? Break that habit. They got to want to break that thing. They got to want to break that spell. Something inside of them has got to, you understand, want to get that thing up off of them. Even though the hold is strong, the stronghold is strong. And y'all don't understand that these people, man, our people, their minds be in chains. And you being held captive by these demons and these spirits that's on you. So what do we have to do? We let us please his neighbor to his good, to edification. So the whole thing is about edifying. Let me edify. What's it? Say how family you bring the truth to. They mock you, and when they want to talk to you, they want to continue mentioning that. Then leave them alone. Leave them alone. Our job is to deliver the message and try and do it perfectly. If people don't want to hear it, keep moving, man. Yeah, you ain't got to waste your time. Keep moving. You know, the only ones that you got to say something to over and over and over until it turns you white on the head and his hairs, like the scripture said about Christ. His head and his hairs were white like wool. We teaching that out in the camp. Why do you think it was white like wool? They had to teach it over and over and over to the same people. So who are the ones that we have to, that we're obligated to teach it to like that you're going to turn us white? The people in your house. The people in your house. Man, if they ain't in your immediate family, keep honking, brother. Keep it trucking. You're a truck driver. You ought to know that. Keep moving. But they up under your same roof, then they got to walk in the tempo that you set for. Especially if it's your house. If it's your house, they got to listen to your rules. They don't listen to your rules, then they got to go. Now, if you in their house and they got devilish rules, listen, man, we smoke weed all the time up in here. You in the wrong place, nigga. They'll treat you like that. then you be like, you know what, man? You defile your temple, brother. You ain't supposed to do that. And after telling them that, then what else you going to have to say? You're going to pick a fight with yourself. Then you need to just vacate the premises. You need to create you a plan to where you got an exit plan up out that joint. Say, man, listen, I no longer reside here. Okay, so with Romans chapter 15 and 3.
For even Christ pleased not himself.
Even Christ pleased not himself. Meaning how he felt in his mind, he didn't take it into account. It wasn't personal. He took in account the things that was presented before him. He pleased not himself. Okay, go ahead.
But as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproach thee fell on me.
Right, but as it is written, the reproaches, meaning the things that reproach the Most High, it fell on him, meaning he took it upon himself to be responsible to do something about it. And before we can do something about one's physical actions, we have to do something about our people's state of mind, their mind state. What are you dealing with? Even the Most High dealt with the mind. Okay? Let's get that in Ezekiel 36, 35, 36. Okay, Ezekiel 36. Is having kids with a white woman a son of the Most High? A sin of the Most High? Of course it is. Because the Most High told Israel not to do it. Ezekiel chapter 36. Anytime the Most High tell you not to do something and you do it, it's sin. Ezekiel chapter 36 and 26.
This is Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 26. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you.
You see that? So what does the Most High deal with? The mind. So I'm going to give you a new mind. You can't just take somebody up out of an action and you don't take their mind up out of it. How do you take their mind up out of it? By talking to them about their mind. About you thinking upon this, brother. You can't think upon that. The scriptures say, come let us reason together. So you have to weigh their thoughts against the thoughts of the Most High. Israel is getting jacked up. They pining away in sin. Trevon, turn around and listen, man. Every time you do something like that, it's a distraction. I'm going to say something to you. Right, Israel, we're getting judged by the Most High. Things are happening unto us by the Most High. We like to point the finger at other people and say, this person is the reason why I'm in this situation, I'm in this condition, this happened because they did that, you're responsible. Man is alive because God gave him breath. All right? And man do what the Most High want him to do. He said the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and he turneth it whithersoever he will. So when somebody do something, the Most High did it to you. Not man. It's the Most High doing it unto you. Even whether it's good or it's bad. It's a blessing or it's a curse. It's wicked. Whatever it is, the Most High is behind it all, man. The Most High does it to you. And that's something that you don't realize. He formed the light and he formed the dark. So when we see that, we got to inform, get into the mind, and the next step, that's on them. But he said, a new heart will I give unto you, and a new spirit. Because what is the spirit going to do? The spirit going to bring forth the action. The mind is going to bring forth the thought process. Will I put within you? How is he going to do it? By the foolishness of preaching. How shall they hear without a preacher? So Israel, we need to preach this unto our people. Everybody going to sit there and let you get into their mind? Nope. Those that don't, keep it moving. Those that do, get in there and cleanse it. That's why we went to Ephesians. We're going to go back there. Get in there and cleanse it. How? With that washing of water by the word. That's how Christ dealt with Israel. He didn't just go there and stop them from sinning and breaking laws physically without dealing with them mentally. See, we like to say spiritually. That's fine. But this is a mental warfare when dealing with people. You have to know their minds. And I will take away the stony heart. So this telling you that all the hard-headed and rebellious people whose heart, whose mind is like an adamant stone or very hard, there is a chance for you. That's if you let the Most High do the work. Now, if you continue on the path that you're on, then the Most High will give you over to that lust. He will forsake you. And then in the future, you're going to notice, because the judgment going to fall upon you. And you're not going to like it. But see the stony heart that we see? There's a chance for those people. And that's why we got to be one-minded. And that's the minded of the scriptures. To try and do what? Help them. I need a new spirit for my past sins. Well, you get a new spirit by getting a new mind. You get a new mind by listening. Now you need other avenues. You need for somebody else to put something into your mind and say, well, to Korah, to Kara, or however you pronounce it, Salakia, don't try it this way, try it that way. Don't do this. You're going to get judged for that. Do it like that. Because a lot of us, our mind have not formulated 2 + 2 = 4, 2 + 2. You understand? You have not come up with the other way of 3 + 1 = 4. Then back 1 + 3. You only know 2 + 2. So you need other ways to put into their mind, put into your mind, so that you can say, well, hey, don't do this, do it like that. And then that way you're not in sin. Just like the woman in the camp today knew she was Israel, she in sin. Coming out of Walgreens, she'd say, oh, this was an emergency. Well, guess she ain't talking to no boo-boo the fool. I'm out there just like the rest of the brothers, passing out flyers, sweaty, this, that, and the third. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, you know why you in sin? And you know why you ran up in here talking about it's an emergency? Because you don't have fellowship of the Spirit. Because if you have fellowship of the Spirit, then you would have, she got shut down. I'm not boasting, I'm just saying she run out of excuses. So you would have had the fellowship of the Spirit. You could have said, hey, I need a Tylenol. Talking to your sisters. Do you have any Tylenol? Because it's a headache. Or I need allergy medicine. What else could it be? Says, you know what I'm saying? If it was an emergency, then you call 911. Ain't no ambulance up in here. No gurney, no hospital and needles and all of that. So you in here for 2 things. In the summertime, allergies or Tylenol. Talking about this an emergency. Okay, I know there are some other things, but we're not going to strive, wiggle about that. But she didn't debate the cause. She stopped. Because she realized that obviously what was said was correct. That, oh, if I really had some other people to fellowship with, then I could have just picked up that phone and I could have said, hey, do you have an extra, this, that, and the third? Because everybody don't have a Tylenol. You run out of that stuff. But then all of a sudden you have some type of migraine and now you need it now. And it becomes unbearable. So now she got that into her mind to say, instead of defining the Sabbath, I could just call somebody and say, do you have this? And that's what we all need. We need to put this into one another's mind to say, hey, do it like this and do it like that. Because if we don't, or you will end up feeling that you're alone. And you're not alone. Oh, I can't, I don't have anybody to rely on. I don't have anybody to, fellowship with or trust. Or I don't know them like that. You don't know them like that because you've been forsaken assembly. You're afraid to ask or embarrassed to ask for something so small. So instead, you end up go shopping. You can't do that. People become your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your nephews, your nieces, mothers, fathers. There's all type of examples inside of the body. And believe it or not, I know that this is for the commandment keepers. It's a small thing to say, oh, everybody here, they know about the Sabbath. People know about the day of rest, but they're not keeping it. So this is not for you. This is for them. Because trust and believe, there are thousands of people that profane the Sabbath. When the seventh day come around, they don't stop. They do what they want to do. Okay? So now, Ezekiel 36 and 26, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh. So that's the reason to feel compassion for them. So is there hope for the stony-hearted person? The hard-headed person? The person that does too much? That's the poster child for doing too much? Is there hope for them? Dre said no. There's no hope for them, Andre. You was asleep then, man. So you dozing, you got to wake up over there. Y'all see him shake that table, man. He said no, out of all of this preaching, so he gonna be somebody that ain't gonna be compassionate. You're the devil. You going to the lake of fire, sister. Look here, nigga. Your head is hard. You ain't shit. You breaking all the commandments. They're the reason why we went into captivity. You hard-headed. You the stony heart that the Bible is talking about. He was like this when we was teaching compassion. Yeah, that's right. Get him. Get Matthew 25. Where you gonna separate the sheep from the goats? No, man, it is a chance for him. It says it right there. It said, I will take away the stony heart out of their flesh. And I will give you a heart of flesh. I'm going to give you a mind to where you can comprehend. But I do tell you, you're going to take a beating to get it. He's going to chasten you. Remember, he says, he chastened and scourged every son whom he received. And you're going to have to endure that chastening. And is it going to feel grievous? The answer is yes, because you're going to stay in correction until you learn to get it, whether you're man or woman. Some of you are going to learn the lessons the hard way. That's going to be with you for the rest of your life, man. Judgments will be with you for decades, man, and won't leave you. But there is hope. And I will put my spirit within you. See that? That's the mind. That's the Father dealing with the mind. And cause you to walk in my statutes. We got to see that there's potential. We got to keep the hope and keep the faith that there is potential in people that we see and people that we teach. Yeah, they in sin. They ain't gonna be on. They might not be on your level. Well, let's say that they ain't on your level, especially if you at the point to where you teaching. They ain't on your level, but we're not measuring wits. We're not comparing them unto us. We're only doing our calling. Everybody understand that? Yeah, you're only doing your calling. Excuse me. We're only doing what we were told to do, and that was to tell them, so that they can get this spirit. I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes. So if he got to cause you to do it, that means that they wasn't doing it. And that's what Christ saw in Matthew 14. So he knew that the Most High would cause Israel to walk in the commandments. And you shall keep my judgments and do them. And that's, you know, Israel was repenting and stuff like that. Okay? So now, who's that? Matthew 14. Back to Romans 15.
This is Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the Scriptures, might have hope.
Right. So what do you think it could be referring to in the 4th verse? For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. And what do you think it could be talking about? That we, through patience and comfort of the Scriptures, might have hope. It's a key word that's in the precept that's telling me what it's talking about. That's hope. Okay, Ecclesiasticus should be 2. And verse 10.
This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 10.
Well, read verse 8.
Verse 8. Ye that fear the Lord, believe him,
Right, ye that fear the Most High, believe him.
and your reward shall not fail.
Right, verse 9.
Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy.
Right, so you to hope for good and hope for everlasting joy. That means you're supposed to look forward to happiness coming along, because it's happiness. You know, happiness is not. We don't experience happiness the duration of our walk in the truth. It's something that's rewarded for setting our mind straight, setting our mind straight. That's what I mean. Setting our heart aright. Because remember, when we first come into this truth, then we start going through certain things. And the Most High, He start taking things away. He start purging us. And then we start feeling some type of way about the things that He's cleansing us from. We start feeling some type of way. And that's why then a lot of people, they feel some type of way. Because they got to lose, you know, friends, relatives, houses. You understand? When you read Matthew 19:29, they had forsook the apostles, and they had forsook everything. So they was like, what's left? You know what I'm saying? Our life is destroyed, man. What are we gonna have? Then He had to tell them, you know, that you have forsaken houses and land. What's inside the house? Your family. You gotta walk away from your family and stuff like that. You know, I got a text from somebody today saying, hey, man, I'm going to just pack up and leave, get up out of here. So people, they being pushed because of differences in the quality of life and living. I just had to tell them, you can't do nothing without a plan. You can't just walk out into the street, pick up and go. You got to have a plan. And so I always encourage everybody to get your lives together, begin to save some money, start saving, so that whenever you do want to do something, you know, you can do it. You can pay your way. You don't have to rely on someone else, because that could be discouraging. Remember, we're all in a rock and hard spot. You know, this is captivity, and it has no respect of persons. There is honor among one another because we can see each other, you know, endure the fight, running the race, trying to finish first. We see the hustle and bustle in each other. That's spiritually. But financially, man, we're beat. So don't mistake those two. And so those that are fighting the good fight are learning to live, financially dependent and codependent upon the Most High, or dependent upon the Most High and, codependent upon, one another. But for the most part, ain't no rich Israelites, brother. And Israel that's in the world, that's repenting or trying to repent, that's still out there in the world. That's still out there in the world, man. Every hoop you shoot, the scriptures ain't lying. It's still an unlawful game. Get out of your contract. And once you get out of your contract, understand, once you get out of your contract, you're going to be faced to, well, am I going to suit up again? Or am I going to suffer choose to suffer the affliction with the people of God? What are you going to do? And then once you do, then you're going to start contributing and helping those people that are straight in need. And helping those people straight in need ain't saying just go, create a black cross because they got a red cross, and now you're just trying to help, just any old body. What about the believers? Blessings should, come to believers. Because they're working, they earned that. They're working to fight the fight. And Most High could use those brothers or sisters, to help those believers that are on hardship and hard times, in between jobs. They're in places and they're trying to get into a better place, stuff like that. So we gotta hope for good and for everlasting joy. We gotta set our minds to our future and say, hey, things are gonna turn around. Not, well, I'm gonna lead the truth and go back into the Christian church because, there are benefits there. And the first benefit is that you know a bunch of people, and all of those people, they'll help you out. Oh man, that's in the world right there. There are many gifts that come in this world, but the Spirit ain't one of them. Verse 10.
Look at the generations of old, and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering and very pitiful.
So that's where Christ got it from. He will be the Most High. It's pitiful. Okay, go ahead.
And forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction.
Right. So you go back to Romans chapter 15 and 4. Whatsoever things are written, so that's the scriptures, written aforetime were written for our learning. So when you research the scriptures and you see that people had to keep their hope in the Most High to stay alive, you see examples of Jacob. Jacob kept his hope in the Most High. What happened with him? He was extorted, he was lied to, his wages kept being changed, all different type of stuff, man. He was getting robbed, all these different type of things. But what happened? He kept his faith in the Most High, and he kept the commandment, honor his father and mother. He kept the fear of Isaac in him, and by applying the commandments, he was prosperous. So when you look at examples like that, the scriptures say that is supposed to give you comfort. It's supposed to help your patience, and it's supposed to give you comfort of the scriptures, and that should end up at the end of the thing, build your hope. So like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try this. Whatever is brought upon me, I'm going to try. I'm going to live this life. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then wait for the Most High to build you up. and for things to work in your favor, and for things to pan out for you. Pan out meaning just like if you were, in a lake and it's supposed to be gold, and you're taking a sand and you're just shaking and you sand and waiting to find gold, it's gonna pan out gold for you. Okay? Why? Because you're doing it because it's written in the scriptures that it happened before. And by you believing in these scriptures, then you're gonna patiently wait for these things. Okay, verse 5.
Now the God of patience and consolation grant you to be like-minded one toward another according to Christ.
Right. So now the God of patience, meaning the Most High, He have us to be like-minded towards one another. Okay. So now, lose that. Now we're going to go back. We was at Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 25. As Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Verse 26.
Ephesians 5 and 26. That he might sanctify it and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
Right. So that's our objective. To separate and then cleanse our people. Cleanse their mind with the washing of water. Okay. How? By using the scriptures. By the word. Okay. Verse 27. So it's referring to Christ and the church. But now we got to go into like us and presenting one another like that. Go ahead.
Verse 27. That he might present it himself a glorious church.
Right. So we get, the whole objective is to do what? Present to the Most High through Christ something glorious. Something glorious. So this is referring and teaching us this is the work that we would have to do at home with your wife. Okay? Everybody, you brothers that's married, y'all see that part right there? You got work to do. That he might present it to himself a glorious church. That's the work that you got to do. You got to stay on your wife. You got to talk to her. You got to teach her. You got to get into her mind. And yeah, it's a big one. Some situations it seem to be impossible. Go ahead and show your camera. It seems to be impossible. But you got to say something. You got to do it. You got to sit back and say it and then watch them, tell them to do it and have them to do it. And then pray for them. Because the whole objective is to present them to be glorious. Go ahead.
Not having spot.
Right, not having spot. Who gonna see it first? You gonna see it. Not having spot. Go ahead.
Or a wrinkle.
Right, a spot is... Man, a spot is something big. Like, look at that spot in the garment. Like, no. It's like eating when you got your garment on and then you waste something. And now you wipe it off and now it's a stain. So that's kind of like permanently there until some deep cleansing get on. So how do we stop our people from having that spot? We got to take precautions. You got to be willing. You got to be able to foresee evil. This is what this is developing into. This. You got to be able to foresee it. Knowing that if it goes that far, now they're going to have a habit and feel that they have a license to sin. That's a spot. That's a spot. Not having spot. I don't want you to have no spot. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. Like adults, if you allow your children to surf the internet without guidelines, that's going to be a spot. Because they're going to get used to surfing the internet without guidelines. And they're going to be getting into certain things that is going to be hard to get out. That's like the spot. So what do you have to do? You have to set those guidelines up and you have to say, no, you can't do that. Don't do here, don't do that. No social media, so on and so forth. And then you have to come back And you have to monitor. You have to monitor the behavior. And then if they abuse it, then you have to correct it. And if they continue to abuse it, then you have to take it away. You say, you can't handle this. Because it's going to develop what? Something that will not wash away a spot. Not having spot. You don't want them to have that spot. Because the whole objective is to present this person unto the Most High in Christ without spot. Glorious. Now, do they, you know, say, are they gonna like that? The answer is no. They're not gonna like it. Oh, yeah. They put the top on, it'll dry out. And then register. He said it didn't register. Something so fragile didn't register. All right. We have to deal with these things, man. I'm going into it like this so that you can understand where these problems come from. Why he won't change? Why she won't change? It's a spot. Did you try and do something about it? Did you foresee it? Did you fight against it? Did you stand up against it? Did you agitate it? What's agitate? You know, I'm scrubbing this thing, man. I'm trying to make you clean. They don't like that. It's correction that they don't like, but you agitating it with the word. Okay? Or wrinkle. He didn't even want you to have a wrinkle, man. A wrinkle is a crease. Yeah. How many lines are in a crease or a wrinkle? It didn't say plural. So how many lines? I just gave you the answer. But how many lines are in a wrinkle? Come on, man. Say it. Anybody? Yeah. One. So how many times does the Most High... We don't want you to have one. We don't want you to do it once. Let alone a spot. That's right. One. We don't want you to do it one time. So when we see it, we got to say something about it so it doesn't repeat itself. So it doesn't develop to be systematic. Because if it's systematic, then you have an issue. You look like you got a spirit on you. See that wrinkle? Don't you notice that wrinkle? Who notices wrinkles on people? You should notice a wrinkle. Say, damn. Did you just do that? You do that wrinkle? We're going to call it a wrinkle. They're going to know. Damn, you talking about the scriptures, ain't you? You talking about the class we was at. What you do that wrinkle for, man? Right. They're going to know that's wrong. You're going to feel drove, wrinkle. Why you call what I did a wrinkle? Because it was wrong, man. I want you to be glorious. And you turn around, I want you to be glorious. Get rid of that wrinkle. I'm the iron, and I'm going to help you straighten your what out? Your wrinkle. Your wrinkle. Sounds like somebody's name, don't it? Wrinkle. Go ahead, man.
Or any such thing.
Or any such thing. He going to sit down and break down over thousands of stuff that you could be into, man. No. See, anything that you see wrong, you're supposed to get on top of it. How do you get on top of it? See who's following along. Shy? How do you get on top of it? Young blood? Bringing it to the surface. Right, by talking to him. Talking about the situation. That's how you get on top of it. Okay? So, you know, why you doing that? And then tell them this is what you're doing. This is what the scriptures say not to do. You know, it's against the scriptures. Any such thing, everything that's bugged out. It's bugged out, man. You tell them it's bugged out. That's not right. Any such thing. Let's see. Go ahead.
But that it should be holy and without blemish.
Right, that it should be holy. So a law will have to be broke. Okay? And without blemish. Okay. Everybody clear with that? All right. So now where we started at 1 Peter 4. Or did we start there? 1 Peter 4. Okay. 1 Peter chapter 4 and let's see, verse 8.
This is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves.
Right, have fervent charity among yourselves. Okay, among brethren, and interact with each other. Charity inside the house. Charity in the marriage and the relationship, which is the same as marriage. Okay, because there ain't no boyfriend, girlfriend thing. If you're in a relationship and you're not committed to the law, statutes, and commandments, you just stand in two different places having sex, you're fornicating. And that's a big thing. That's against the scriptures. If you can't fix your mouth to claim this woman and say, hey, this is my wife, you're fornicating. You're fornicating. Okay. I just want to address that briefly. Matthew chapter 19. Verse 5.
This is Matthew chapter 19 and verse 5. And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother.
Stop. Father and mother. This is my little illustration.
Marker going up? That's the father. That's the mother. Put some fringes on her. That's the house.
Let me see if I got a better marker that's going to show up darker for our people online. Oh, yeah.
The other way, too.
Whatever. Y'all know what it is. That's the door. That's the door.
So now that's Junior. I'm still doing it wrong. That was right?
No, that's right. Now put the arm. That is right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Junior.
That's Junior.
So it says a man should leave what?
Father and mother.
So we'll give a little ease to why Israel built it. Father and mother is where? What I just built. A house. So according to the scriptures, you got to hit the door. You got to hit the door. You don't bring the woman into the house. You should hit the door. Because now you're going to go over here. You're going to go and you're going to build your own little house. That's your little house right there, man. That's the door. That's your little house. You barely got little money. You supposed to leave. If you ain't doing this, if you're not going over there with the woman and y'all in the commandments, and y'all in the laws, y'all fornicating. I'll put an F. I'll put an F in y'all's house. Fornicating. And you can't make it fornicating. So you got to lead. And you got to come together. You humble this woman. And lay down with this woman. Exodus. You got to take this woman. So sisters, stop letting men sex you up. Right. Exodus chapter 22 and 16.
This is Exodus 22 and verse 16. If a man entice a maid.
All right, you know what it is to entice? You come on to her. You show her your muscles. You show her your swag. You show her your manhood. You have her turned on. See? Men, you can entice sisters too. You show her your muscles. You show her your manhood. You show her your swag. You entice this sister. You got this woman's nose wide open. Go ahead.
That is not betrothed.
She ain't with nobody else. She ain't promised to nobody else. She ain't with nobody else. There are sisters out here like that. With Exodus chapter 22 and 16. Go ahead.
And lie with her.
And lie with her. That means y'all find some place. This is the worst case scenario. Why brothers come here to prove a point? You did it the wrong way, man. Somebody got to tell you what's common sense. Because the first thing that's supposed to happen is that, guess what, man? That you should deal with the parents. There should be an announcement to the parents to let you know this is the intention that I'm interested in your daughter. Is it okay if I continue to see her, if I talk to her? You're going to go off her and her hormones. You're a foolish man. You lie with her. You enticed her, turned her on. A lot of times you take advantage of these sisters. Sisters fighting, trying to do the right thing. You've been celibate for a minute. Then here come this guy, man, talking to you. Lips dropping like honey. Enticing you. And then lying with you. Go ahead.
He shall surely endow her to be his wife.
It didn't say for him to go back home. Sisters, the night that you have sex with somebody, it should be in the house that y'all gonna live in together. The night that you have sex with somebody, you gonna make love. I love. Guess what? Why don't y'all make that second? Make that last. Deal with the parents. You have a little wedding feast. Have a wedding feast. Then everybody know that you're his and he's yours. And then after the feast, after y'all celebrated, then y'all complete strange to each other. Then y'all go to this house. See this little one here? Draw your own. Go to that one there. But don't let him sneak you up in there first. And then we gonna tell everybody that we together. You are an evil couple. You set a bad example. Because there are children that need to see it done the right way. There are children that need to see it done the right way. They need to see betrothal. They need to see you patiently wait. They need to know that no, he did not hit it. They need to know, girlfriend, now your girlfriend, no, you didn't give it up. They need to know that. She still ain't did it. They didn't did nothing. They need to know that. They need to know that, hey, you going this way, he's going that way. They need to see that example. There are the youth that's learning rapidly from the school education, the neighborhood, the block, MTV, BET, and all the Hollywood minions. All the devils are teaching our children and your children too. Why you sitting up there doing the wrong thing the wrong way? We need to be ashamed. I know I am. Because we all did it the wrong way. When is somebody else that's want to be married that's, going to step up and say, hey, I'm going to do it the right way. Because I know that my life, regardless of how long it takes, I know that my life is going to be an example. You haters of God, he is against you. And so are the true believers of the Most High. Against you, man. Setting bad examples. You're robbing the people of the fruit. So if you had plans, unplan it. You had plans on doing things your way, unplan it. Because you're going to get the business. And if we've been teaching you and you've been in doing and you commit the act of fornication, you're getting kicked out. You're getting kicked out. We're going to kick you out of school. Why? Because you've been proven that you know and understand right from wrong. You bring some strange person, oh yeah, this is her. She looking straight. Like she ain't had no shepherd. All right, bro, going out there with her, man. Going out there with her. You went outside to get her, you're going to have to stay outside to keep her because she ain't coming in here. And that's supported in Corinthians 5. If any brother be a fornicator, with such a one know not to eat. That's the scriptures right there. Y'all just not used to it. Neither have you been said that to or told that to. So you brothers in here, y'all have 0 chances. Without respect to persons. Love you according to the scriptures. Gonna do anything and everything for you according to these scriptures. But you make the wrong decision, I'm gonna stay in these scriptures. So, don't destroy nobody. Don't destroy nobody by doing it, man. So, did we finish it? Right, it says, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. It didn't say make her girlfriend. See her every now and then. That's wickedness. Y'all to be in 2 different places. That's wickedness. No. If you cannot support a woman, then you shouldn't get the woman. Excuse me. Now, there are cases where sisters will be self-sufficient. But those case-by cases, that'll come at that time. Y'all get the gist of it, though. Okay? You can't do that. It says you got to take this woman to be your wife. You must take this woman to be your wife. You laid with her. All right? So, let's lose that. Yeah, Matthew 19 and 5. For this cause shall a man leave. For what cause? The cause that you finna deal with this woman. That's the cause. That's the reason to leave. What other reason is there listed in the scriptures that a man would leave his father and mother? What other cause? I'm asking a simple question. Use your Rolodex. What other cause listed in the scriptures for a man or woman to leave their house? What other cause listed in the scriptures? It ain't no other cause. I'll start to have all y'all scratch your head. It ain't no other cause. The only other cause was to deal what? In wickedness. The only other cause was because they wanted to deal wickedly. They wanted to waste their inheritance. They wanted to waste and go into the world. Because you can't be into the world inside of a righteous man's house. If you get older and you still didn't get married, you're supposed to remain there. You're supposed to remain there and then be a help unto your parents. They spent their life helping you. Now, after you use them up, you're like, shit, I'm going to go do my own thing. You and ran them down into the ground. They spent their spirit, their energy, all their time catering to you. Now you gone. It ain't to follow Christ, because you follow Christ inside of their house. Okay, but I see Hezekiah, if it was like, if the parents were straight wicked and you can't take it, if the parents was wicked and you couldn't be at peace with them, that's one thing. But if you got parents in the truth, you got parents in the truth, and you are a child, your children are coming up in your parents' house, you're supposed to be there until you marry. It ain't no greater foundation out there. But Satan that world will call you until you do your own thing. Because you're going to do things that you can't do in your parents' house. Like flirt with the old man. Flirt with the world. Flirt with the world. What is it to flirt? To show your curiosity so that you can interact with it. That's great wickedness right there. You bound to crash and burn. So you should be there until then. All these examples have to be set in Israel. And while you have an opportunity to do it, you need to do it. How else are you going to look back and be like, hey, tell the next young person, I've been where you was, man. I've been where you at. But this is what I did. And this is what you're supposed to do. And when they look at you, they see a success story. All right. So I just said I wanted to touch on that a little bit. So we'll go back to, was that 1 Peter 4? First Peter 4, and was that 8 you was at?
Mm-hmm.
Above all things, have fervent charity for yourselves. Wonder what made us go there. Have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover a multitude of sins. That's a good precept. What does that mean? Charity gonna cover a multitude of sins. When you have charity, you ever enter into a situation, and the longer you're in the situation, Ecclesiasticus. (28). The longer you're in a situation, the worse it gets. So you read Ecclesiastes 28 and 10, and then I'll read 1 Peter 4 and what was that, 8. So listen, pay attention to this. So 1 Peter 4 and 8, and it says, above all things, have fervent. Fervent is passionate. Charity. So charity, it has to burn like a fire. Do you know a fire will burn and consume something, clean up? So it says among yourselves, meaning when you with other people, when you with your people, right? But then it says for charity, meaning the passionate, burning spirit of charity shall cover a multitude of sins. So how is it going to cover a multitude of sins? And what is charity? So remember, charity is one word, but it has a lot of different attributes. Like, don't nobody go, I'll go and get it. Just so that you can know this is how things are supposed to be when you're in a situation that needs to be dealt with or corrected, or you're in the midst of it. Okay? Long-suffering, kind, envy, not meaning like jealousy, vaunting not itself up, meaning not to be rash, behave itself unseemly, meaning you're not being disrespectful, seeking her own, meaning you're not selfish, easily provoked, thinking no evil, meaning you're not thinking, but you're allowing somebody to tell you, rejoice it, not in iniquity, meaning you're not liking that things are crumbling and falling to pieces. Okay? Bear it all things. Some of you be like, I can't deal with this. I give up. I can't tolerate this. You're supposed to be able to carry out everything. Believe in all things, meaning, okay, I believe that this could work. I've heard people say that it's too late. You don't believe that things could get better. Okay? Hope at all things. You're not even hoping for something positive or hoping for a bright future in any situation, and endured all things. So the scriptures say those attributes right there, that should be burning in you, and those are the things that you're supposed to be trying to put into a situation to have an outcome. Okay, so now that we know what that is, I'm going to read it again, and he's going to read Ecclesiastes 28 and 10. That's why I want everybody. So I'm going to read 1 Peter 4 and 8 again. Above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover a multitude of sins. It's going to stop you from doing a lot. How many of you get in the midst of something and then it goes south, it goes bad, and it's like you can't stop it? It's like an evil spirit is driving you to say things and feel worse and worse and worse. That's what it means by charity. It's going to cover all of those sins. It's going to stop you from letting you, your mind, your spirit, your anger or whatever escalate. Even if it's in the camp or if it's in the house, if it's dealing one with another. Go ahead.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 28 and verse 10. As the matter of the fire is, so it burns.
Right. So if you come in and you on fire, you like, I'm heated. I'm mad as what? Hell. I'm mad as hell. The scriptures say, guess what's going to happen? Man, that fire going to burn. That anger is going to burn in you, man. It's going to keep on rolling. You're going to be sarcastic. You're going to be rendering evil for evil. You're going to deal in malice. You're going to say things that you know is going to hurt somebody. You're going to stop caring. You ain't going to have ain't no hope in this, man. You ain't going to believe nothing. It's going to be burning. Go ahead.
And as a man's strength is, so is his wrath.
Right. What is his strength? His mind. What is his strength? His mind. The more he thinks he's right, that's the more wrathful he's going to be. Okay? Go ahead.
And according to his riches, his anger riseth. And the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed.
Right. So you can't let that happen. So that's what it means by charity. Is going to stop that. Charity. So if anything, we got to think according to the scriptures and say, you know what? I don't want to be accused of not being charitable. Let me execute charity in this situation because it's going to get out of hand. And if you find yourself getting out of hand, then you stop yourself having minimum damage as possible. Everybody understand that? Having what?
Minimum damage as possible.
Minimal damage as possible. Because there is one that slipped it in his what?
Speech.
But not from what?
His heart.
Not from his heart. So we got to realize, okay, you said that, and the person that slipped in his speech but not from his heart, he's going to recover himself by saying, you know what? I apologize. I didn't mean it like this. I meant it like that. At that point, we give that back to the person and not charge him with it. The devil is going to charge him with it. He's an evil nigga. He meant that. He hates you. No, you don't listen to that. You listen to the scriptures, knowing that the scriptures say that he didn't mean it. It came out. You understand? It slipped. And who is he that slippeth not in his what?
Speech.
In his speech. So at times we ourselves slip in our speech. Okay? If you're always apologizing, that's fine. You should just continue to get stronger to where you'll stop repenting from that type of action. So now we're 1 Peter chapter 4. You never get it in return. That's because you're dealing with devils. So stop letting them provoke you. Okay? 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 9.
This is 1 Peter 4 and 9. Use hospitality one to another without grudging.
Right, use hospitality. Okay, we know what hospitality is, right? Right. Hospitality is the act of trying to, let's look it up. Because I could put it in my own words, but. hospitality.
Here's the definition of hospitality. The friendly and generous reception and entertainment of guests, visitors, or strangers.
All right. Hospitality. The friendly and generous reception. Okay, I like that. The way I explain it. The friendly, pay attention, because we all should use hospitality. Okay, what you need out? It says the friendly and generous reception and entertainment of guests, visitors, and strangers. Right? The friendly and generous reception. So when we receive people, we should be generous, we should be courteous. So some of the synonyms: friendliness, hospitableness, warm reception, welcome, helpfulness, neighborliness, warmth, kindness, courteous, generosity, entertainment, catering, stuff like that. That's hospitality. So I pray that that's what brothers and sisters receive when they come out here to visit us. I pray that that's, the reception that, but when you deal even one with another, what did the scripture say? Use hospitality one with another. Even when you're used to each other. Well, let's get settled. When you're used to one another, you still must use hospitality one with another. And it says without grudging, meaning without doing it, with an attitude. Help your people. You offer them something to drink, offer them something to eat. If you can, if they need a place to stay, offer them, place to stay. No, you can't provide and take care of another adult, but I'm saying, you need to stay tonight, hospitality. Friendliness, a warm reception, helpfulness, opposed to being at each other's throat. This has to be in us so that others could put that inside of them, because they'll be able to see, they'll be able to see that inside of us. Years ago when I did travel, the first school that we had out here, I did some traveling. A lot of times I used to travel alone and lead the congregation here. But I would travel to the other cities, California, New York, Atlanta, Boston. I would travel to visit the other congregations, and everywhere I went, I found that the congregations were very hospitable. The brothers they were very hospitable. They were like these attributes that said. If I can get this thing back on. Yeah, friendliness, warm reception, welcome, helpfulness, courteous, generosity. They had that good spirit, and I never forget that. So I was like, man, that's how I want to be. And then, so I began to take the last congregation. We went around when we traveled and stuff like that. People treated us as the congregation, the same way. I don't think we ever had to stay in hotels or anything, did we? Never had to stay in hotels or nothing like that. And this was over 20 years ago. So it's the same way. And so we try and treat people. But that's That's easy to do, you know, maybe to somebody that you don't know that they never did nothing to you. But then now, when you have to deal with somebody on an everyday basis, guess what? You still have to deal with them in the same mindset. You got to use hospitality, you know, you understand, when you deal with your people. They're going to remember the kindness that came from you. They're going to remember the actions that came from you. And that's why we got to control and bridle and control ourselves. Because, you know, people are prone to memory. Okay. So now, and then it says, see where it says without grudging? So this letting you know that this could be a personal affair. Do it, help, without force yourself to do it. Verse 10, 1 Peter 4 and 10.
As every man hath received the gift.
Right, as every man has received the gift. That's the spirit of the Most High, to do good. Go ahead.
Even so minister the same one to another.
That means teach each other and set the example one to another. So the stuff that y'all learning here, y'all got to make sure. That's why I be requiring. What is it called? The wife said it. Said something to me a couple of weeks ago about it. You be requiring what, like the attention span, like when your the attention is undistracted or something like that. Undivided. Undivided. Yeah, undivided. Okay. So be requiring, brothers and sisters, your undivided attention, because the stuff that's being taught and said, it's expected for you to get it, and so that you can minister the same to someone else. But if you're dozing off, you'll be waking up saying, you can't recover from a stony heart, man. Yeah. All right. It says, so minister one to another as good stewards. A steward is found faithful, as someone is faithful of the manifold grace of the Most High. Manifold means a lot. Manifold means a lot. That means inside of your mind, you're grateful. You're grateful on a huge scale. You understand? A lot of things come from you, man, on a huge scale. All right? Get that water off the door for us to eat. Y'all get it? Right. So then let me ask this question, this trick question. Thanks. In the truth, we got water boys. Not on the field, but in the truth, we got a water boy. Yo, water. It's beautiful. So let me see how I ask this trick question. So we should give our undivided attention. Why? Okay.
Scripture says to not let them slip. And then.
Okay, stop. Yeah, y'all don't sink in your chair. We should give our undivided attention. Why? Well, I ain't gonna say that. That was, you just used something else. You was coming a different way, but now that I think about it, you was going into, you was gonna be right. So I get that back to you. Even though I didn't let you finish. That is correct. Somebody else in here. You should give your undivided attention. Why? Nobody? Rocky?
So you can learn. You don't want.
So you can learn. You don't want to. Go ahead. Did I just? Go ahead.
what's being taught me, so
You don't start watching right. So you get this wrong, she gonna blow it up. She gonna be putting that little woman on the screen that be having her hands like this, like.
So you'll know it, so you can learn, so you will go back out, you'll know how to deal with things out in the world, or a situation.
Okay. All right, Hezekiah, that's right. Anybody else? Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's acceptable. Roger, what you said. Everybody see things,
So you don't miss no instructions.
So you don't miss no instructions. That's half the answer. So you got to give your undivided attention. For this is 1 Peter chapter 4 and 10. And everyone, and as every man have received a gift. You know, the gift is what? The understanding of the scriptures. Even so minister the same one to another. So we got to give our undivided attention. Why?
So we can minister the same one to another.
Right, so we can give it to somebody else. Okay? You was gonna say something?
Yeah, just add to it.
All right.
Like in the first precept when it says, as every man has received the gift. So likewise, how, we all have different levels of faith. And the brother Shamshon, he always said, everybody got different gifts, everybody got different levels of faith. So so the things that, that we learn through the grace of the Most High and that we minister, the person that's receiving it have to give their undivided attention, because it's gonna be something different from every member. So if you don't, take the more earnest heed, that understanding, that wisdom, you're not gonna have it, because like the water may say something to me pertaining to this thing, and his message, his deliverance is gonna be, its impact is gonna be different from what Sham say, or what Dre say. It's going to be based upon the word of the Most High, so it's not going to be saying anything different, but the message is going to be, different as far as the impact of it, So
let me stop you. You got a lot of words, and you're going away from what we just simplified. I'm looking for a basic question to a basic answer to a basic answer. I just called it a trick question.
So
you're going too far into it.
Gotcha.
That you went away.
So basically, to sum it up, we need everything from every member. You know what I'm saying?
Now you're still going apart. And anybody agree? You're going away from it. You're going away from it. Because they all said the answer so that you can just teach somebody else. That was it. You gotta give your undivided attention. Because this gift is being given unto these brothers and sisters. And if they dozing off, they're going to miss it. If they paying attention, they're going to have it. Hospitality is a huge thing, man. Not just to complete strangers, but even when it comes to one another. You got to ration it out with your wife. You still got to use hospitality. Still got to use charity. So if you ain't being taught that, this woman gonna be a prisoner until your roar. So, undivided attention. You're gonna be taught not to be like that, and when you go to deal with her, it's gonna reflect what you was taught. Everything that you was saying, you went away from this. I mean, it could have been right in its. Yeah, but you went away from it. So, because it says, even so, the same minister one to another. As good what stewards of the manifold grace. Manifold means a lot. That means the grace of the Most High is a lot. He was graceful to you to teach you a lot, to show you a lot. And so that means that you would have to pay attention a lot. Okay? Verse 11.
Verse 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which God giveth.
You see that? So that would be the ability, that would be the manifold grace of God. Because what did he do? He or she paid close attention. Then they applied in their situations. And now they can do what? They can speak on the behalf from their experience. Okay, go ahead.
That God in all things may be glorified.
Right, that the Most High in all things. Explain that. That the Most High in all things may be glorified. It says through Christ, but yeah, the point is that the Father in all things may be glorified. Somebody explain that. Dre? That the Most High in all things may be glorified. Because what are you doing? Same brother? That's right. So you got that part right. That's the perfect word. You're ministering. So now it says that the Father, God in all things, may be glorified. So if you're ministering, how is the Most High? Who's going to be glorifying the Most High? The people, the person. The person is going to glorify the Most High. So you got that right. Why? Talk up loud. Talk up.
Because the ability that God gave him to speak.
No, that's the person. The people are the ones that got ministered to. So they ain't speaking yet. So they're going to glorify the Most High when they're able to understand the thing that they was doing wrong. Because the problem lies within the mind. And us being the minister of the Most High, we able to get into the mind and say, hey, this is where you're going wrong. And we able to put in their mind the correct way. So once they can comprehend it and it makes sense unto them, then they begin to praise the Most High and glorify the Most High. Because what you just did was shine a light in a dark place. Right? Okay, so we'll get that. About the light. I think it's in John. John 1. Let's see. Well, this is John 1, but let's get St. John 3. St. John 3 and St. John 3 and verse 21.
This is St. John chapter 3 and verse 21. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest.
Right. So the light is something that we're going to shine. Okay? The light is something that we're going to shine into the darkness. Okay? So they're going to come. Remember, Christ said, my sheep hear my voice. They're going to come. They're going to hear the scriptures. And then they're going to be thankful and they're going to glorify the Most High. Because they're going to be like, hey, I was doing this wrong. I was doing this wrong. I wasn't doing that right. I didn't understand that. I misunderstood this. You'll be surprised how people don't understand the scriptures. If y'all brothers and sisters sit here waiting for me to just help you to see and understand the scriptures, and y'all read, you know, if not every day, every other day, just imagine people who don't pick up the word at all. They completely have no understanding. It's to the point to where it's hard, you know, they might find it hard to believe it even though you showed it to them. Because, you know, they just, like, how am I sure that that's what it is? But then you have some that they do read. Yeah, they do read. And then once you shine that light into them, they're like, man, all praises to the Most High. Okay? But you have some. Now you can read, let's see. Well, to go with that, now let's go back to John 1 and 5. Hold them both, John 1 and John 3.
So this is St. John chapter 1 and verse 5. And the light shineth in darkness.
Right, and the light shineth in darkness. That's what the Most High did. That's what Christ did. That's what all the servants of God do. They take the correct way, and then they put it into the minds of brothers. They put it there. They shine it into darkness. Okay?
You looking for 2 Corinthians 4?
For me?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
No, but is something there?
No, I don't know. You got this.
No, I'm fine. I'm where I want to be. No. So, it says that the light shined in darkness. So that's our job. That's what we got to do. Okay? So the rest is just going to say how, you know, the darkness, they don't comprehend it. Okay? But we're not dealing with them not comprehending it. We're dealing with us giving it to them. Right, Obadiah? Right. Okay. So now, go back to 1 Peter 4. First Peter 4 and 11 says that God in all things might be glorified. So we shine it to him, give it to him, so that the Most High going to be glorified. Remember, let your light so shine among men that they may see your good works. All right, so they're going to see and they're going to hear it. They're going to be able to see how to do things. Okay? To whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. So now 1 Peter 4 and 12.
Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you.
All right, things sometimes go wrong. Okay, you call it wrong, but the Most High said, hey, it's time for this obstacle course, you know, to turn into some bad weather, rocky road, wooded, a wall, run into a brick wall. You got to try and get around it. You might not realize, hey, let me cut something down, lean it up on the wall, and then just walk over it. Yeah. You understand? So, hey, there's a fiery trial, which is to do what? Which is to try you. To try your works, to see what type of works, what are your works made out of. Go ahead.
as though some strange thing happened unto you.
Right. It happened out of the middle of nowhere. Go ahead.
But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings.
Right. So a lot of times when you go through sufferings, man, sometimes Israel, you be thinking that the Most High is against you. Because now if you're keeping the commandments and then, you know, you still going through sufferings, that's a part of the sufferings of Christ. Okay? Well, where people, let's deal with the sufferings of Christ. You know, where people, they thought evil of him, they spoke evil of him, you know, they called him Beelzebub. Man, they did all manner of things against him. And that's something totally different. You know, not, you know, for some type of sin. And it's going to eventually say that. So if you suffering and you sinning, then you suffering because of your sins. Not because, you know, somebody reproaching you for dealing righteously. You want to keep high holy days, they speaking evil of you. You want to come to the school, they calling it a cult. You rejecting the holidays that they keeping, which, you know, is against the scriptures. They got something evil again to say against you. That's suffering for Christ's sake. That's what Christ went through. Okay? Go ahead.
That when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye.
Right. So they speak reproach, meaning they speak evil of you and they sin against you because you follow the truth. I mean, brothers and sisters, you follow the truth and people speak evil of you. They say evil things about you. They only do what they say because they don't understand it. But what should they eventually get from your life or your lifestyle? What should they eventually, your lifestyle should eventually sum up to something. Regardless of what they think, regardless of what they say, it should eventually sum up to you being a righteous person. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to say what they're going to say. But when they deal with you and the outcome of your dealings turn out to be righteous, they're going to know that, man, this person is a righteous person right here. This person I can depend on. This person is trustworthy. But if you always rendering evil for evil, retaliating, if you always up to something no good and you still in sin, they're going to say that your religion is vain. They're going to call it a religion. Everybody understand that? Yeah, if you're being sneaky and creepy and stuff like that, weird. That's weird. You know, if you're doing stuff that's weird, they're going to be like, hey, man, what's up with this? So you got to, if you want the truth to stick out, then regardless of what they do or what they say, you know, years ago, I went through the same things that y'all brothers and sisters are going through, where people thought it strange. You know, I stopped going to their birthday parties. I stopped going to family gatherings. You know, I stopped going to, you know, the holidays. I stopped doing all of those pagan things that were against the scriptures. And like y'all family, my family, you know, they spoke about me. Now, they didn't argue and fuss and fight with me because I was always self-dependent upon myself. I always took care of myself. I didn't need them for anything. I just stayed to myself. I just stopped showing up. So whatever they might have said behind my back, I didn't get it. You know, I didn't get it because I didn't need a ride from them. I didn't need to borrow money from them. I didn't need them to watch my children. I didn't need nothing from them. But them to stop calling or asking because I ain't doing nothing. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not coming. I don't do that. That's against the scriptures. You send me an invite, I send you the scriptures. That's how it panned out. And they got used to it. But I kept my word. And when they needed to deal with me, I would deal with them. I would deal with them in equity. I would deal with them in righteousness. If it was things that were pertaining to this world, then I would deal with them. I would deal with them righteous. So when they then began to have questions pertaining to things pertaining to life or the scriptures, that pick up my phone, each and every last one of them. Trust and believe. It didn't matter what age. Every last one of them. Yo, what the Bible says about this? Yeah, okay. It says this. Then I will teach them. They'll go and do what they want to do anyway. But they had nothing evil to say about me. The most problems that I had, it always came from when Israel repent and they looking to get fed. I've always taken the blame from all of y'all's family members. I'm that man. That man. Let me write that up here. This is who I am. So you can see that's pointing right on top of my head. I'm that man. Y'all follow that man. Y'all do whatever that man says. I am that man. What they don't really realize is that man is Christ. And when you see Christ in me, and then you start hearing the words of Christ, because the scriptures say, my sheep which you are, hear my voice, and that voice is the voice of Christ. Okay. Which is the word of God. So I think that's been probably one of my biggest sufferings that I would have to deal with, deal with people and being thought of evil on that behalf. Because I guess they're used to maybe trying to, manipulate you themselves and say, well, hey, do this and do that, do this and do that. But when you grow up, when you learn to grow up away from them, and you say, no, this is what I'm going to do. I believe in the truth. They say, well, where you? And then you want to teach them. And you say, well, listen to the teacher. You say, well, how do you know that he's this and this and this? Well, you just open the book and read it. He's just reading out of the same book. I don't want to hear that pork chop saying we can eat that. Like, wait a minute, you can't listen to Reverend Pork Chop. You got to listen to the Bible. He's teaching you wrong. So, that's a suffering of Christ right there. So I don't take that person. Christ said he himself was not honored in his own country. Okay, so we're still in 13. When his glory shall be revealed, we got that right. Verse 14, if you be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye, for the spirit and glory of the Most High rested upon you. Okay, so if they gonna say things like, you're in a cult, you're being misled astray, you're being brainwashed, you are a fool, anything I didn't leave out, or anything I left out. Let's see. It says, on their part, he is evil spoken of. So when they deal with you, who are they dealing with like that?
Christ.
Right, they dealing with Christ like that. It says it. Okay? You know, the scripture say, he that hated you hated me. He that hated me hated him that sent me. So they hate the Most High. It says, but on your part, he is glorified. Why do you think the Most High is glorified? Because you're being obedient regardless of the peer pressure around you. Everybody understand that? So you have to remain faithful. You're being obedient regardless of what? The peer pressure around you. And those are they were your first peers. They were your family. So you can't listen to them. You got to listen to the scriptures. Matthew 10. Okay, Matthew chapter 10, and verse 32.
This is Matthew 10 and 32. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven.
Go ahead.
But
Right. So if you're professing them before men, meaning you're talking about, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to the school. I'm learning. I don't do this. I don't do that. That's Christ. Go ahead.
Him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven.
Right. That person, he says he will do what? He will profess or confess before the Most High. Okay? Everybody understand? Go ahead.
Verse 33. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven.
Right. So that's the peer pressure come in. Okay? That's the peer pressure. If you let them, so we'll bring this, Judah. She asked about birthday's pagan. Your birthday is not pagan. Okay? Why would the Most High bring you into the world and you were pagan? When I made the statement, I'm referring to them asking me in the past to do things on times that will go against what the scripture is saying, like the Sabbath day. You know, you ask me to come see you and it's on the Sabbath day. Or my mom is having her 75th birthday, it's on the Sabbath. She could turn 175. I'm not coming, you know. It's on the Sabbath day. Now, if my mom turned 175 and it's throughout the week, I'm going to go and honor my mom. You understand? I'm not going to worry about what man says because birthdays are pagan, they did this. Well, listen, they did that, and if you don't want to do that, then you don't do it. I'm going to see my mother, man. You know? So that's in reference. And what I meant, you know. So for everybody's edification, you know, if your birthday and you are compelled to give somebody a present on their birthday, it's your son and your daughter, that's your prerogative. You're not pagan for doing it. You are not pagan for doing it. Okay? You are not lawless for doing that. To give your gift. If so, then the Messiah is pagan, because at his birth the wise man brought presents and gifts unto him. Him, his mother and father, and all the wise men are pagan then, if that's the case, but that's not the case. Stop listening to people that break the commandments that's telling you. Okay? I don't do it, but it has nothing to do with because I think it's pagan. I don't do it because I told my children a long time ago that they need to get it together. I used to do things for them on their birthday, and they thought that every time, it was a gang of them, and they thought that every time it was somebody's birthday that they caught an attitude. It's like, wait a minute, today's not your birthday. I'm going to give this person a present, and when your birthday comes, I'm going to give you a present. Well, they whine and cry and say, guess what? I'm not doing this no more. I haven't did it. So I don't have to deal with that. That's my reason. And they suffer for it today. Well, life is about consequences. Something else that I don't do. We used to go out to restaurants like once a week. Something like that. And then they started complaining about the restaurants. We live in a small city. Right? You know, the state is big, but we live in a small city. So we visit the local restaurants. Then they start wasting the food. They eat snacks on the way there, complain about the restaurant. Yeah, I like this restaurant. Why we always gotta go to Calico's? Well, guess what? We don't go to Calico's no more. And they like, dang, man, why you don't do this? Why you don't take us to the restaurants no more? I said, because I told y'all. Life is about consequences. You're going to learn. Don't spoil it for yourself. I give them umpteen opportunities to get yourself together, or I'm going to take it away. When I take it away, it's gone for good. Just like I have a thing about electronics. Misuse electronics in my life, trust me, you will be an adult. You lose it forever. You know, I'm not playing, I don't play no games in my house. It's my way. If you gonna give yourself to the devil, I'm not contributing. Now the restaurant and the other stuff, I don't want to say that was the devil. That was just foolish, young, and stuff like that. But hey, we over that now. We past that. So like, well, I said one of them, well, why we ain't going back to the thing then? That's when they're always trying to hustle a meal, man. Come on. I've been doing something better. I've been taking you with me. See? Hey, they do. I do them right. I do them right. Just don't transgress the laws, or you're going to find out, man. It's not going to go well. And you could call me dirty dog, but I'm between Genesis and Revelations. So you better get in where you fit in. Like the Most High, His power when it's tried. He reprove you, boy. You ain't gonna like it, man. So, and I'm running around. I'm seeing people I went to school with. I'm like, yo, where's your gray at, brother? Oh, man, I'm cool. I'm like, looking at my reflection. I'm grand messing with y'all little gremlins. Come on, y'all driving me. All right, so where were we at? Matthew 10 and 34. Think not that I'm come to send peace on earth. I'm not come to send peace but a sword. I'm come to set a man at variance against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. So you see these problems right here? They come because some in the commandment, some not in the commandments. That's where the problem come in at. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me, peer pressure, is not worthy of me. You cannot let peer pressure or any outside pressure on the world get to you to where you like, hey man, I want to do it. It's gonna convince you to not keep the commandments of the Most High in Christ. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Right. So you can't love someone, you can't love your father or your mother more than the Most High in Christ. You can't. You got to love this word more than you love anything. He that loveth son is you can't love, because we have children. And sometimes the children, they be dragging their feet, they be breaking the laws. You gotta bring out the laws, man. You can't love them more. I'm gonna put down the scriptures to try and gain your love. No, you're gonna be broken over these laws if you don't comply. A lot of sisters having problems. I know it's sisters out there having problems with their sons, teenage sons. You know, you can't be like that. Because back in ancient days, what would have happened? Them same sons, man, would be bricked to death. I wouldn't even want to watch it, man. Y'all go ahead. I know you got to do what you got to do. I'll be sad to see that, man. But that's the only way to stop wickedness. So now, the Most High going to resolve the situation. Knowing that the Most High is going to resolve the situation, what has to happen? You got to make that choice to follow the Most High in Christ. There's lacking fathers in the house. There's elders in the nation now. There are teachers in the nation now. So even with fathers in the house, you got people that are rebellious, which doesn't make no sense. That's a damn shame. How you got fathers in the house and you rebellious? You know just as much as the father. That's wicked. How you young girls, you got mothers in the house and you know just as much as the mother. Don't you realize that we been where you at and you trying to get where we are and we know what's right and wrong? I had to tell my son. I said, all those years I carried you as a baby. All those years I held your hand, walked. You didn't know right from wrong. I gave you nothing poisonous. I didn't walk you in front of a truck. You didn't drown. You did this. You did that. Now you know something? So I just lost everything. When you grow, I grow. Come on, man. Children, you better learn to get rid of peer pressure, because it's pressuring you. It's deceiving you at the same time. Yeah, it's rough on mothers with sons. It is. And that's the reason why you got to deliver them unto the teachers. You sisters out there, living in single parents and you have sons, call the General Assembly. We got officers out here that can help deal with your sons. They help, build a communication, mentorship with them, and talk to them. But it's got to be a two-way street. First, like I said, give us a call. They talk to them, let them watch the camps and stuff like that, so that they can see what's being said, what's being done, a building process, and then open up a line of communication. And that can help, be an outlet for you. Because we understand that it's hard to do and build these children being by yourself. It's a precept that tells us not so much that it's hard, but for us to help y'all. Go to Ecclesiasticus. In verse 10.
This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 10. Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of an husband unto their mother.
Right, you see? So be as a father unto the fatherless, instead of a husband unto their mother. So you sisters, you raising children, put them in the program. BAU. Put them in this unit. And their minds are going to be the first ones to get worked on. These brothers out here will teach them and deal with them. It's a process, They ain't gonna turn from sin overnight. But the Father will, we put some type of impression to where they can start, turning. Because right now, without anything, they don't have nothing in their mind to even fight with. At least we can give them hope, give them some examples, something to look forward to, and use the word of the Most High to shine into their mind. Okay? But the sons are not compliant. Okay? So, like I said, let us help. So shall I be as the son of the Most High. Who is the son of the Most High? Yahushua. Will be like Yahushua unto people. And he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth. So the Most High will love us a lot more than our mother do by doing so. Everybody is not a wife, Israel. We here to do the work, man. Yeah, this brother said he had a stepfather from his youth that wasn't a father to him, but was a husband to his mother. Yeah. Sorry to hear that, brother. We go through things, though. So now, let's go back to 1 Peter 4. So your son should be listening to the class. 1 Peter 4. And that's another thing. You brothers and sisters out there, have your children to watch the classes with y'all. Don't give them no choice. You know it's the Sabbath day. You know what's right. If you got to fight with them over it, and you got to sit down and you got to fight with them. Not physically fight, but you got to have that conversation with them and say, no, this is what we're going to do. If they sit there and pout and fall asleep and wrestle with it, that's all right. Let them do that. Because sooner or later, they ain't gonna be able to fall asleep. The Spirit gonna give them a spirit to sit up and listen and say, what is that man talking about? He said, I can relate to that. He said something that I know about. You understand? So you got to put them in front of that television. You can cast it on the smart TV, or you can get it on the computer so that they can see it. Have them to sit there and listen to it. Sooner or later, something is going to be said that they can relate with. Okay? So we're back at 1 Peter chapter 4 and 15.
1 Peter 4 and 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters.
So now, to help us understand that, what's another form of murderer, being a murderer? Hatred. Let none of you suffer as a what? A murderer. Meaning you hate somebody. You don't like somebody. What's a form of suffering when you don't like somebody? What's a form of, how can you bring sufferings upon yourself? You end up in what? Begins with a C. Correction. You end up in correction. You're doing something that somebody doesn't like because you didn't have enough respect for them. Pay attention. You didn't have enough respect for them. You did some things to them. You said some things to them. It displayed a dislike. It displayed hatred. You end up in correction. You feel that you're in the truth and you're suffering because of the other person, but you're the person that's reacting off some form, shape, form of not liking this or resentment. The scriptures say that's not the suffering of Christ. I hope y'all paying attention to this, because there are a lot of people that's in Israel, let's just say us in our families or whatsoever, that is somebody that I'm not feeling very froggy about. I'm not liking this situation. And you suffering. because of correction, because of the way that you behave or you treat or you act or you treat that person, your suffering, that's not the suffering of Christ. It says, let none of you suffer as a hater. You going on. Or as a thief. So we know thievery is just a flat out stealing something from somebody. What's another form of thievery? Theft. What's another form of theft? Come on, use your... Let's water it down. The reason why we got to water it down because people don't think that they be stealing. So just water it down. In an everyday life, whether it's the body, or whether it's your house, or whether it's at work, water it down to the point to where you stealing, it deceived you. You borrowed. They said borrow. Okay. Anybody? Any other input?
Take something that's not yours.
Right. You take something that's not yours. Right. You take something that's not yours. What are some things that you can take that's not yours? It made you into a thief. Food. Right. Food. It was this person's food, and you took it and ate it. Well, what if it was leftover fried rice? It didn't belong to you. You took it. Whenever you finish, African American, you just stole. Why'd I call you African American? Because that's what they do. African Americans steal. Israelites, we're not supposed to steal. We're God's holy nation of what? People. Holy people. And what's holy? The law. The law is in our mind and in our mouth and in our tongue. We don't steal. You are African American. Soda. You take somebody's soda. You was thirsty. What? Nothing to drink. You drink it and you take it outside and you chuck the can. You are an African American. You just stole, man. Then a person come around, say, hey, I know I had a Pepsi on this door. Who drank my Pepsi? Ain't nobody drinking. Ain't nobody drinking. Ain't nobody drinking. Ain't nobody drinking. Ain't nobody in the house drinking. I got a saying that, you know what? Somebody came in, y'all, we wasn't even here. They just had their way. They had drunk my Pepsi. I don't drink Pepsi, but I'm just saying. They had drunk my Pepsi. They had ate this food up, and they gone, and don't nobody know who did it. That's thievery right there, bro. That's a thief right there. You can't make it with those type of suffering. So when you end up getting corrected for doing that, that's not the suffering the Bible is talking about that we should be going through. Okay? Not only is this good for us, but these are the things that we have to inform on lower levels, dealing with others. What, somebody say your identity, stealing your identity, you had your identity stolen? Some of you, hey, some of you, they take your identity shit. They're gonna be doing worse than they was. They're gonna be doing worse than they was. Before they put you got them in jail. You got that bad credit, 200 credit score. I gotta work that out, man. Yeah, people will steal your identity though. Okay? What's that? Taking ideals. What is y'all doing, man? Taking ideas. Somebody gonna take. That's my ideal. Okay, I guess yeah. So, but hey, don't be stealing, man. It says, "Are an evildoer." Okay, or an evildoer, man. You did this. You did, something wicked. You broke the law. You did something wrong. Let's put some examples to that. Or an evildoer. Don't get called suffer as an evildoer. All right, I got one. It started off. Like we got a dog. Don't beat the dog, man. And I ain't saying y'all beat the dog, but I'm saying, don't beat the dog. That's evil. Don't y'all know the scriptures say that a righteous man know how to treat his beast? Yeah, you can't mistreat the beast, man. Don't beat the dog. That's evil. Y'all seen that? Y'all seen that video where the dude was like beating the dog, man? I didn't like that video. I didn't like that video. Dude beating the dog, man. The dog should have had common sense to just go crazy on him, man. He'd tear that dude up. You would tear that dude. All he had to do was just like, get some viciousness in him. He sat up there and let the man beat his head, man. He got all them canine teeth. He'd have tore that dog up. Now don't antagonize a dog. A dog will attack you, man. You better be kind to a dog when you least expect it, man. The dog could turn on you, man. That's why I be like really nice to my dog. Like, hey, I'm really nice to you. Don't you ever turn on me, because you got the upper hand. You got all those sharp teeth, and they got pounds of pressure. Y'all didn't know that?
Yeah.
They got pounds of pressure, man. So I make my dog fear with words. I'm like threatening, like, listen, don't you do that. You understand? You come here. You go there. But never hit the dog, man. That's an evil doer right there. Well, name something else. What is this? Yeah, animals are faithful to their masters. Do we have animals? Do we have families that rely on county paperwork to gain more? Is that unrighteous? I don't think so. They rob from us all the time. Well, what's gonna happen if you get caught lying on county paperwork? They'll make you pay them back. Yeah, they rob us. They'll make you pay them back. Okay. So nothing else. Nobody can think of anything that an evildoer. What is it?
Like, let's say somebody took your Pepsi and you found.
Not the Pepsi, man. We done with the Pepsi.
No, for real.
Your own idea, not Pepsi.
All right, somebody took your Gatorade.
Your Gatorade. Nothing to drink. Nothing to drink. Something else, man.
Somebody took something that you have.
But we done with stealing.
I'm just saying, this not the evil part at the end, and you found what they did, like the evidence.
You better be evildoer if I'm letting you speak.
Yes, sir.
It ain't got nothing to do with stealing. Okay, go ahead.
So when you found like they left half of it to come back for later, then when you saw it and you couldn't drink it no more, you just threw it in the trash. So you so that they couldn't drink it, you threw it away. But it was yours at first.
It's wrong. Okay, well, I give you that. It's wrong. So, oh, go ahead.
Like setting somebody up, or like just being like mean or vicious to somebody, or like disrespectful to somebody, and then like always make somebody mad, or being like an angry person, that's evil, or like fighting people, hitting people,
Okay.
devious acts.
Devious acts. Kind of like rendering evil for evil. Now, here's something. Here's something. What about parking? Parking. See, people, they always like the parking and stuff. They say, I'm gonna be evil, man. You know, I know this is gonna make him mad, so, you know, I'm gonna park. You know, people do all kind of stuff. So, whatever we can think of, you know, when it makes somebody offended, and they're gonna look at it, do the research. I have. And that's why you won't be able to tell me that my birthday is wicked. I've done the research. But stop listening to IUIC. Tell them to stop cutting their beards up and get rid of the idol. The scriptures say, a good understanding have they that do and keep the commandments. That's Psalms 111 and 10. So to those brothers over there, start keeping the commandments, there's nothing they can say to me. Because that's where y'all getting it from. Next, whatever you know is offensive to somebody, lose being wicked. Lose retaliating. Lose retaliating. Because when you end up being corrected for it, being Andre, you're going to be labeled as an evildoer. Slamming doors, throwing things around, the way that you respond, your disposition, your mannerism, all these different things, man, you're going to be labeled as a retaliator. You're going to be labeled as an evildoer. So lose that. And the correction that comes from that, you can't be like, well, this is part of Christ's sufferings. How are you wicked? How? Even down to the countenance. You know, scriptures say countenance show changing of the heart, right? Right, even your countenance. Okay? So let's finish that. Go ahead.
Or a busybody in other men's matters.
Right. So we know what a busybody is, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him be ashamed. Let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf.
Right, meaning following Christ. So this has nothing to do with Christianity. Go ahead.
Verse 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God.
Right, so those are the believers. Go ahead.
And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?
Right. So if judgment gonna begin with us, so we know what the judgment is. The judgment is gonna be death. So it says, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God, meaning Israel that know, right? So he goes through Israel that knows. And those that are breaking the commandments, they get judged. So it says, if it begin with us, meaning if we got destroyed, what's going to be the end of them that didn't obey? And we were what? Wavering. We be wavering, Israel. Everybody get that part? Okay, go ahead.
And if the righteous scarcely shall be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear?
Right. So now, what is that telling you about the righteous? It says that scarcely. Yeah, we barely, man, we barely make it. We barely make it. So that shows you, Israel, that we gotta, with every fiber within us, every fiber that's inside of us, the scriptures say we scarcely be saved. We barely gonna be saved. Where shall the ungodly and the sinner? So this sounds like two different people. The ungodly and the sinner. Three different people. The righteous, the ungodly, and the sinner. What's the difference between the ungodly and the sinner? Okay, say that. Say that louder.
The ungodly is the people that don't believe in God, and the sinner is the people that know, but they just continue in sin.
He said the ungodly, anybody else? The ungodly is the ones that don't believe in God, and the sinner is the ones that sin. But the ungodly is going to sin too. So. Go ahead.
The ungodly is probably not learned and not taught. And the same with somebody that's repetitive in their actions. So they know what they're doing.
Okay. Anybody else? And none taken, but they the ones that started that about birthdays, and everybody jumped on a bandwagon. You know, just because our congregation is small, you know, I've been around before, you know, IUIC. I know where all these doctrines came from. We've been around before Facebook, you know, before YouTube. I've seen doctrines enter into this world, enter into all these bodies. I've seen all these sects develop. I know these leaders personally. So I know who's teaching what and what they stand for and where they come from. So you might not know that, but I know that. And I don't speak on brothers. You've never heard me ever mention IUIC before in no class. Not one time. If I have, this is the first or the second time. You know, I hate to say I never ever, but I seldom ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever, seldom, never, ever. I just don't. It ain't no reason to. Everybody got their own thing that they doing, mission from the Most High to do. But I know where they came in at. I know where they came in at. And they came in, you know, because they made a video. And now everybody is cursing their day, saying, because Job cursed his day. But they always, you know, leave out Yahushua. So we're living through Yahushua. So, you know, and none taken, but I'm going to correct the situation. Oh, okay. All right. So we was dealing with the ungodly. What is the difference between the ungodly and the sinner? Any more opinions? Nobody? They both in sin, but, you know, in your opinion, what do you think? And actually, it's not wrong. So, the ungodly are ones that, like, forsake the Most High. You know, they have, like it says in Timothy. Go to the book of Timothy. Second Timothy 3. Second Timothy 3 and verse 1.
This is 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection.
So we listen to all of these things, and somehow you may be like, well, hey, these people are in the world. They aren't in the world. But what y'all don't realize is that these are the same ones that hold Bibles. They don't have natural affection. What's natural affection? The spirit of charity. When you can disrespect somebody, and yell in their face, you don't have natural affection. You're not concerned about that person's feelings, that person's thought process, the damage, the mental welfare of that person. You're not concerned about that. Without natural affection, go ahead.
Truce breakers.
Right, truce breakers, meaning at one point in time they said, well, listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a truce. I'm not going to do that. But then they turn around and do the same thing over again. Go ahead.
False accusers, incontented, fierce, despisers of those that are good.
Right, so go ahead.
Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God.
Go ahead.
Having a form of godliness.
Right, this lets you know that these are ones that has the Bible. It says they have a form of godliness. What is the form? A shirt with fringes on it, a mitre, or some brothers don't wear the mitre, just garment with fringes on it. You know, Hebrew label, title, Hebrew names and all of that stuff, right? They have a form, because those things they get from the God of Israel. So they have a form that come from God. They have a form of godliness. Go ahead.
But denying the power thereof.
The power thereof is the Spirit. They deny the Spirit to get into their mind and supposed to power up your brain and make you do things. They say, no, I don't want to do that. Why? Because then they can't have it their way. Go ahead.
From such turn away.
Right, because they are ungodly. Now do you understand? So now the sinner that we were talking about, so now when we go back, the sinner is just the person that didn't even choose to learn. Two different types of people. The righteous, the ungodly, and the sinner. Three different types of people. Okay. Titus 3. Okay, Titus 3 and 5.
This is the book of Titus, chapter 3, and verse 5. Not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to his mercy he saved us.
Right, so if the righteous scarcely be saved, it's not, it says the works of righteousness, like animal sacrifice, you know, some amazing act that you've done. Nope. It says, but according to his mercy. Meaning we actually strove lawfully. And striving lawfully, he saved us. Go ahead.
By the washing of regeneration.
Right, by the washing of the seed of the house of Israel. He regenerated that seed, and we came back unto him. Go ahead.
And renewing of the Holy Ghost.
Right, and he gave us the Spirit again. He renewed the Spirit inside of us. 2 Corinthians 13. Second Corinthians 13 and start at 5.
This is 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. Examine yourselves.
Israel, we have to examine ourselves. We have to examine our state of mind. Okay, go ahead.
Whether ye be in the faith.
Right, whether you're doing the right thing, or whether you're doing the wrong thing, or whether you're wavering or not. Because if the righteous scarcely be saved, and the ungodly and the sinner, where they're going to end up, we should examine ourselves to see, are we hooked? Do we have strongholds? Are we possessed with evil spirits? Because sometimes you won't let others tell you. If you won't let somebody else tell you, then ask yourself, are you doing righteousness or are you doing wickedly? Is somebody coming, opening up the scriptures and saying that this is what you're doing wrong? You got to examine yourself. People do know how to give you honor. They do know how to praise you. They do know how to praise you. Go to Proverbs. (27) and verse 2.
This is Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 2. Let another man praise thee.
Right, people do know how to praise you. If it's not happening, it's probably not happening for a reason. Because you're not doing too well. We'll slow down and let them get it. Proverbs 27 and 2.
Proverbs 27 and 2. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth.
Right, and not your own mouth. Because you are willing to tell yourself that you are doing good. Hey, I'm doing a good job. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. I ain't doing nothing wrong. I ain't doing nothing wrong. How do you figure? You didn't examine yourself? The righteous scarcely is saved, man. Us in the truth, if we deny the power thereof, are we going to be labeled ungodly or a sinner? Yeah, both of them, but choose one. Ungodly. Ungodly. For denying the power thereof. Ungodly. Okay? Let another man mouth praise thee, and not thine own mouth. Go ahead.
A stranger and not thine own lips.
Right, a stranger and not your own lips, meaning outside of your mouth. Somebody completely strange to you, man, or to your thought process. Let's go back. Yeah, Corinthians 13 and 5.
2 Corinthians 13 and 5.
Prove.
Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves?
So when it says prove your own selves, what do you think that means? Prove your own selves. Obadiah? Prove to yourself that you're doing the right thing. Okay. Abanya? Prove to yourself. Hey, here's what he said. Yeah, no, prove your own selves.
Does it mean to keep the commandments and then know that you're doing the commandments by your works? Or know your faith by your works?
Listen to the definition. Prove. demonstrate the truth or existence of something by evidence. So now, the word that I like in this definition is demonstrate. So when it says, prove your own selves, what does that mean? Using the word that I just gave you. So I like this word, to demonstrate. How do you prove your own self? So don't think of nothing that you've thought of before. We're going to take it to another level. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
You demonstrate.
You demonstrate.
You demonstrate the actions of the truth.
You demonstrate the actions of the truth. So now, that's right. Okay. Actions. Before you can promote yourself, you have to prove yourself. You have to demonstrate. Can you promote yourself with words? Can you say anything? It's nothing you can say. You have to demonstrate. It's like test drive. So you got to be able to examine yourself that you have been through hell and high water. You test it. Yourself has been through the test, and now you're going to demonstrate your spirit and your mind with the actions of the scriptures and precepts that you've learned before you can say, well, hey, yeah, I actually did. I'm doing a good job. If through demonstration you have been failing, can you claim that you have been doing a good job? You cannot claim that. You didn't prove it. Everybody understand that? Don't you know before they sell an automobile, they prove each one. They prove each one. Yeah, they prove the motor. It's got oil in it. You ain't gonna never buy a dry car. It's got motor, oil, gasoline, antifreeze in it. They prove it. They got the little things that the wheels go on and they drive. You understand? They prove each one. Make sure it's not leaking or anything before they deliver it unto you. I'm sure they do that before they hook the speedometer up to read the miles. They take each one through a rigorous test. They don't just put the thing together and then sell it to Ricky Gray. He gonna buy some bull. He gonna be like, man, this thing is leaking. It don't change gears. He gonna go up there. What's up with this? That's on y'all. That's on y'all. So before they give it to him, they got to prove it. So when the scriptures say, prove your own selves, Israel, you got to take yourself through something, man. You got to go through that furnace. You got to go through that fire. And you got to prove that your mind can take that hostile environment before you can be found worthy to come out clean on the other side. If you breaking down in the midst of that, you ain't gonna go through. You gonna come back out the same side that you went in. You gonna get some instructions. Most High will put you back in again. And you're going to be told and taught that you got to go through that. That's what you got to go through. You got to do this and do that, do this. If you don't actually demonstrate the instructions of the scriptures that's taught and told unto you, you ain't going to never be able to continue to pass through. You're going to continue the same old cycle, come back out, get corrected again, go back in. You ain't never making it through. So now the scriptures, when it's saying examine yourself, you don't understand that you ain't going, that you not demonstrating what's written in the scriptures? Some of you think that you're demonstrating what's written in the scriptures, and you're not. You're demonstrating what your mind is telling you is acceptable. You can't do that. Why? Because the righteous is scarcely saved. What's up with the ungodly and the sinner? So you would be considered the ungodly because you know what to do, but you choose not to. And the sinner, somebody that's cold turkey. They just walking around waiting to get lit up. Where they gonna fall at? They gonna fall way short. The ungodly gonna fall way short, and they gonna be wondering like, why am I way short? Why am I so? I didn't know I was that far off, Lord. For real? Please don't do that. Please, I can't take that. He gonna show you all the benefits that you have. Because sometimes people think that the stuff that you participate in is worth the outcome of what? The stuff that you participate in, which is the benefit, is worth what? You think that. Think of how they think. Remember, I told you we analyze people's minds.
Yes.
So what do they think? They think that it's worth what? No. They don't think that it's worth, because we tell them you're gonna get killed.
They think it's worth credit. Like praise, credit.
Nah, I thought you had it.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's worth the time spent.
No, they think that it's worth the correction. They trust and believe. Trust and believe. What's the worst can happen? All I can do is get what?
Oh, okay.
Corrected.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
So they think it's worth correction, not knowing when they see the big man, it's gonna be, you ain't got enough ass to pay. You ain't got enough to pay. That little bit gonna be roasted.
Right.
You gonna be in hot water, big trouble, man. It's gonna be over for you. You don't have a chance. You think it's worth correction. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What's the worst can happen? Yeah, they're going to just correct me. Okay. Wait till the Most High get involved. It's going to be another story. Tell y'all a story. I got a son. How did he say he meant to be? 20. What did he say, 20 or 21? 20. He finna be 20. He on Stan, Missouri. So, when he did stay here, I tried keeping him, you know what I'm saying, in the truth. So, he ended up moving out of state with mom. And so he got into trouble, went to jail. So he goes to jail. He goes to jail 9 months. Before he went to jail, I used to always try to talk some sense into him, this, that, and the third, go over scriptures with him long distance. It was a one-way street. So he goes to jail. I'm like, I can't get in touch with him. I'm not breaking my neck. I'm on a one-way course, not two ways. I don't go backwards. I want y'all to know that about me. I don't go backwards. So we try to talk to him before these things happen. Try warning him. So when he was in jail, he called me. He said, Dad, he apologized. He dropped it like it was hot. He didn't, the phone went off. You know, he had the little 10 seconds or whatever. He said, Dad, I called to apologize. He said, I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. He said, everything you said was right. I should have been keeping the commandments of the Most High. I just wanted to tell you that. Click, the phone went dead. So he tried to call a couple times before then, but he didn't have no money on his books or whatever, right? I don't know if his mom started him off or whatever. But. So he called me yesterday. He called me yesterday. He said, I just called to tell you I'm out of jail. And, I'm a different person. He's talking different. He learned the hard way. I said, well, you know what, son? I was young. I got into some trouble too, so now you got to endure. He said, but you know what? I really mean it. He said, when I was in there, I found God, and I want to do the right thing. I said, all right. So then I told him a story, about when I was young and got in trouble, and a Christian preacher came together. I was a teenager, came to see me. But when I started reading the scriptures, I had to remember that the scriptures was something different than the Christian preacher. Okay? So he understood, he understood that. So I'm saying all this to say is that when it comes to the judgment of the Most High, every knee is going to bow. This was a kid that, I thought about. I'm like, man, I got a son. He just in the wind. He gonna be destroyed. I'm sitting here like, man, I need to have children because I want to bring, to me it makes sense. To y'all, it might not make sense. Why is that? Because it's you. Because it's you. But let me show you the scripture, Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 32. I think it's 32. Oh, Ecclesiastes 30. Ecclesiastes chapter 30 and verse 3. Read that.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 30 and 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
Right. So I want sons that I can teach, and that's going to do what? Man, be a dagger in the damn brain of the pagans, of the heathens. You understand? It says they grieve the enemy, man. Read.
And before his friends, he shall rejoice of him.
Right. I want to be able to be with my brothers and be like, yeah, man, look at my boy, brother. Look at him. What man on earth don't want this, man? Go ahead.
Verse 4. Though his father died,
And when I pass, read.
yet he is as though he were not dead.
That's right, because what did his son do? His son came up in the same power and spirit, Lord God willing, a double spirit that was on his father. That's why it's so important for you young brothers. Don't just go out there and lay down with some woman, man. The scripture say, don't give your strength to strangers. You don't just lay down with no any woman. What is wrong with you? Don't do that. That's sick. You're sick. You might well throw up. You understand? That's a sickness, man. You don't do that. You don't let your flesh speak, man. This is a spiritual thing right here. Once you understand this, it's purely spiritual, man. It's not for lust. It's a spiritual. Go ahead.
For he had left one behind him.
For he have left one behind him. That was a knucklehead. Go ahead.
That is like himself.
That's like himself. Everybody understand that? Brothers, that's what you want. One that's like yourself. Not a knucklehead. Oh, this one don't listen. No, man. Go ahead.
Verse 5. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him.
When?
While he lived.
While he lived. So when you are alive, you want to see this. When you're dead, you can't see it. Children, sons, your fathers can't see you when they dead, man. What's wrong with you? They want to see it while you are alive. I want to see this in my sons while I am alive. And I'm destined to. So move over. Go ahead.
While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful.
Right. So on his deathbed, he's passing away. He's like, oh, you're going to be good. You're going to do the right thing. Because he knows the same war that you went to, he was right there with him. And you're going to continue to go to war. So I don't know where y'all head at. This is where mine is. Go ahead.
He left behind him an avenger.
An avenger, man. That's what this is about. Now let's bring this down 100 scales. If you had a beast, say for instance you had a dog, and this dog was a champion. I mean, he was stout, he was full-figured, he was big, he was smart, and he was a male. You wouldn't wonder what his sons and grandsons would look like. You wouldn't? You would? Or would you neuter them? That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yeah, you'd be like, no, man, I got to keep this blood alive, man. This bloodline, right? Exactly, man. So that's how righteous brothers is. They want sons like this. They don't want carnal-minded, worldly sons. Okay, is that it? And one
that shall requite kindness to his friends.
Right. And one that's going to do what? Build with his friends like he was building with his friends. Okay? So now let's lose that. So I hope he turns around, though. You know, I got some work to do with, my son. That's about to be 20, that's in Florida. He said he followed God. I said, well, hey, there's a way, you got to serve God through the Bible and not through your emotions. So we had a good conversation. So I'm looking to build with him and see where that leads to. Did we finish? Where was the last one? 2 Corinthians 13. Right. 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. Shalom Shabbat says. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. So we was hammering on prove your own selves. So now we know what that is, right? Yeah. You gotta put some energy and put your spirit in the actions. Put yourself to the test. Know you're not your own selves. That's the ability. Don't you know your ability? Excuse me. Read that again.
This is 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves?
Right. Know ye not your own selves. You know your capability. Do you know your capability? Do you know what you will do in the hour of temptation? Right. In the hour of temptation, do you know what you will do? What will you do in the hour of temptation when it's time to smoke? Yeah. Walk away. Flee. Just run, jog from it. Lust. Run from it. Okay. Do we flirt with temptation? If you've been tempted, do you have a brief conversation or a long conversation? Been tempted. Let's say, for instance, you're a man by a woman. Do you have a brief conversation? You got, keep it short. Or a long conversation? Brief? Brief and not long. You sure? All right. What is it, Dwight? What they have, brief or long?
I was pretty shy. He said neither.
You said neither, Shy? Right. None. You keep your mouth shut. So anybody that said brief, you just opened up the door. You just opened up the door. You have no conversation. That's when you control and bridle yourself the most. That's the strongest way that you can be. You just don't say nothing. You gotta put bars upon your mouth, man. You gotta put a bar on there. Same thing with your sisters. A lot of single sisters out there, y'all stumbling, man, through lust, having conversations with these jakes. Don't have a conversation with no jake that's interested in you. You don't even know him. So you ain't doing nothing but flirting. It's wicked. Flirting with lust. Next thing you know, the scriptures say lust is kindled. Therefore, love is kindled as a fire. Lust is kindled as a fire. And you're going to fall into temptation and be like, oops, ain't no oops. So don't you know your strengths? Know you're not your own selves. Know what you're capable of. I can end up doing this, this, and this, and this. I can end up, you know what? The old man, before I knew this truth, I knew what I was capable of doing. I knew, how many of us, we knew what we were capable of doing. We knew how things could pan out going into a situation. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's the same thing in the truth now. Don't you know what you're capable of? So if it's the wrong thing, if you're capable of doing the wrong thing, you should have no flirtation with the old person, with sin. But you should run. Because if you do, it says how that Christ is in you. Either Christ is in you, or what is the last result?
Except ye be reprobates.
Except you be reprobates. And what is a reprobate? Young blood. What is a reprobate? A person that won't, they got me. A person that's void of judgment. Yeah, a reprobate is a person that, they don't know. You don't want to be that. A person that cannot understand right and wrong. You don't know. Because if we don't know what's going to happen, we're going to commit another action or that action, and it's going to lead to our, unfortunate demise. Almost, Israel. 1 Corinthians 10 and 5.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 5. But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness.
Right, they were found not to be after the heart of the Father, so he discarded them. Verse 6.
Now these things were our examples.
Right, the past were examples for us, because he knew that in the future, Israel would be able to look back at these things and say, hey, let me not do this. Let me not do that. Go ahead.
To the intent we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted.
Right. So you can't flirt with lust. That's what happened to them. Okay? So that's it. I was going to go into something else, but we're going to stop it. Just got great timing. So any questions? Everybody understand? You can start the communion. All right, Matthew 26. And before we get that, I do want to clear up something because I don't want it to be a misunderstanding with the sister. Veronica, are you still online? Sister Veronica, are you still online? If so, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. No, I guess she's gone. What are the signs to not what are the signs to not take communion? Okay, hold on for a second. I was trying to see if Veronica was still with us. Well, for edification purposes, I'm going to go through this precept. It's in Matthew 2. No problem. Okay, Matthew chapter 2, and try and get to the point, verse 11.
This is Matthew chapter 2 and verse 11. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down, and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh.
So now, remember, Israel, we have a way of life. So hold that, and let's go to, if I'm a precept. Second Ezra 6. If it was whatever they did to Christ or to his mother, his father in Christ, whatever they did, if they had never did that before, they wouldn't have did that then. Okay, so this is 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 6.
8 and 6 or 6?
2nd Ezra 8 and 6.
2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 6. O Lord, if thou suffer not thy servant, that we may pray before thee, and thou give us seed unto our heart, and culture to our understanding.
So we had culture. You know what culture is? Culture is a way of life. Yeah, we had a way of life. Go ahead.
That there may come fruit of it.
Right, that our culture may be fruitful. Go ahead.
How shall each man live that is corrupt?
Right, how you going to live that is corrupt? You're going to have some type of culture, some type of way of life that shows you and teaches you how to live. Who bear the place of a man. So now, obviously there had to be a culture in Israel to where someone being born, they opened their treasure and they presented gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. All right. Luke chapter 18. No, Salakia, not Luke 18, Matthew 7. Matthew 7, so that was a child. So Christ, they did that to him when he was a child. So Matthew 7 and verse 11.
This is Matthew chapter 7 and verse 11. If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him?
Right, so this is the words of Christ. So there's a culture to where Israel was giving gifts unto their children. You just read it right here. He said, yeah, y'all know how to give good gifts unto your children. So when you go back, if you read Luke, the Most High never corrected the men for giving gifts unto that family. He never corrected them. Go back to Luke. Matthew 2, thank you. The very next verse, verse 12.
This is Matthew 2 and 12. And being warned of God in a dream, that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way.
All right, so they were just departed not to give the place of where the child was. They never got corrected on that, so. Take that yoke and that burden up off of you, Israel. I just wanted to clear that up. I was hoping that maybe the sister was still around. Because I didn't want that to be a discrepancy between, her and what was said in the class. So now let's go Matthew 26. Matthew chapter 26, and so the other question was, right, let it get away. What are the signs to not take communion? So I'll make sure I explain it. And if you're not being faithful, then get works. And your example is not something to teach someone else, then that's a sign right there. Not to do the communion, not to take communion. But that's something that, individual have to examine. Okay, Matthew chapter 26:6. Now when Yahushua was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box, a very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. You gonna make it back? But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahushua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble you the woman? For she hath wrought the good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her. So all praises to the Most High for giving this sister the spirit to come forth and leave a beautiful example of a broken and contrite heart, and give the Christ some comfort before his death. So now the Lord's communion in 1 Corinthians 11:23. Well, it didn't give us a play-by-play, but it just showed you in the scriptures to where he was brought gifts. So if it offends you, you know, then don't do it. Or if somebody, I don't understand, if somebody is offended, I mean, well, if you're offended, then don't do it. Or if somebody offends you in doing it, then just tell them, you know, not to do it. Okay, so the communion. 1 Corinthians 11:23. For I received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua, whom the world calls Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat. This is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also, he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. As often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. So that was the question that you had asked out. You know, let's see. What are the signs to not take communion? Well, and that's the thing. Everybody would have to examine his or herself. So now, if you know you're not applying the scriptures, if you know that you're not applying the scriptures, and you know to do well, and you know that, like say for instance, you know the Sabbath day, you're not keeping the Sabbath day. You're eating unclean foods. You know you're breaking the commandments intentionally, but then you're going to do the communion. Well, that wouldn't be wise to do that, because the communion is a representation saying that, hey, I am following in. I'm following Christ. This tells people that I'm following Christ. But if you're being a hypocrite, you're going to teach other people to say, hey, it's okay to do this. Can we tell somebody else not to? No, you can't tell somebody else not to, because they're trying to live up to your understanding of what you taught them, and maybe that they're living up until the level of understanding that the Most High has allowed them to understand. So if they're doing the best that they possibly can do, and then they feel like, hey, I understand, or I know that I'm applying the scriptures, then, no brother or sister can forbid them. So that's something that they would have to. Just for now, Veronica, just lose it, because you don't understand the point. We're dealing with the communion at this point. When I had space and opportunity to deal with it, you wasn't there. So we're past that. If you want to go on about it, just inbox me, and I can give you a call and explain it to you on what we see. But we're not dealing with what the pagans, we're dealing with what the scriptures say. All right, so you can't take it away from somebody else, because they might be honestly trying. That's just like telling somebody that I know you can run faster. If they might be slow to you and they're running all their might. He's like, I know you can run faster, and you're frustrated because, well, I asked, where were you? You said nothing. So let's keep it moving. Plus, for a woman to even talk during church is not the scriptures. So let's apply that part right there. Remember, it said let them keep silence. And I entertained it because I know, but right now it's kind of like causing an interruption in the lesson. But moving on, inbox me, So Judah, an example of that thing is somebody running and I say, I know that you can run faster, or somebody's trying to pick something up and you say, hey, I know you can be able to lift that, but they actually cannot lift it. So, do you charge that to them? No, because they're putting all their strength in it. So in the scriptures, you might have a person that you feed a lot of information to, and they only understand in bits and pieces of it, because it's the Father that opens up the heart to where they understand the scriptures. And because they're making mistakes, they're getting things wrong, you see them, and then you forbid them with the communion. That's something that they honestly got to make the determination to say, hey, I'm actually exhausted spiritually and mentally and physically, every avenue trying to keep the commandments. And so let them eat of their bread and drink of their cup. But if it's unworthy and they know that, they know to do well, they understand it, but they still not doing it, that's the consequences that they're going to have to carry. So it's on that base, it's based upon an individual effort to try. It's an individual thing to self-examine yourself, okay? That's why it says, but let he that eateth and drinketh unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. So that means you're going to be guilty of putting the example of Christ out of your body, knowing to do well, but do it not. So when you read verse 28, but let a man examine himself. But he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause, many are weak and sickly among you, meaning sleep. For not stopping yourself and caring about the example of the Christ, or the congregation who's following our example, the Lord will bring judgments down upon us. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. How do we judge ourselves? By evaluating ourselves to be, listen, I'm wrong at this. And, I know I ain't been right. I know I've been, setting a bad example. No, I ain't going to do that. Because truth be told, when other people see you, they see that you're setting a bad example. They actually see it. Yeah, they actually see it. But because they can only do what they can only do, no one can stop you. It's up to you to stop yourself. So you would have to judge yourself. And if embarrassing yourself is the judgment, then make it happen, because it's better to be ashamed of not taking the communion publicly than let the Most High touch your flesh because that's even more painful right there. Okay? For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are what? Chastened. So if you continue to do the communion and not stop yourself because you know that you're in sin and you're not worthy to be saying, well, hey, I'm an example, follow me. Because this bread and this wine represents the blood and body of Christ. And when we put that in us, we're saying, listen, now that blood and body of Christ is inside of me. I'm walking in that. Follow my example. If you're getting it wrong, you're going to get chastened by the Father. That we should not be condemned with the world. So the Lord is going to do something to you to make you stop. And his force is going to be stronger than just correction. It's going to be something so strong to where now you're going to remember your sins and you're going to hate your sins to the point where you're like, man, I'm not doing that. It's going to scar you. It's going to scar you. And people are going to be wondering like, hey, why is he scarred? Because the Most High judged him. Now he see that the wages of sin is judgment. That's the payment for sin. The Most High going to bring judgment. Most High, in the name of Christ, thank you for the food and drink. Amen. Amen. This is body which is broken for you. So we do this online, Israel, so that you can see the communion, how it's done, and that it must be done. Brothers and sisters that believe in Christ must do it. Okay? This is blood. Okay, Israel. Our praises. So, but stay around for the prayers. We're going to stand and face Jerusalem, and then after that, we'll be back out in the streets. So, stay with us, okay? All right, Israel. Our praises. So. Okay, Israel.
If every man was just like me, what kind of sanctuary would this be?
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Deliverance prayer, Luke 10 and 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the labors are few. Pray therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth labors into his harvest. Bless you, Most High, King of heaven and earth, and all things, Most High, in the name of the Christ. Send more disciples and teachers to your harvest, to gather your people Israel, and send counsel behind your laws to stand before the people Israel. Give to us strength to break down our lives with thy word. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The blessing of Israel, Numbers chapter 6 and 24. Children of Israel, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And in Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Children of Israel, bless one another.
Most high in the name of Christ, bless you all.
Hey, brothers, so let's take advantage of the daylight that's left. So let's get out. Without any tinkering around. Tinker, man. Stopper, man.
Yeah, I got some stuff on there.
What it is, it wasn't unlawful. I mean, people watch it. They just make it want to do it. So they try to make it not unlawful. That's what they're saying.
I know. They
Watch it and no, they too. I mean, like, say for instance,
a body and get a line shot.
Like that.
And on top of others will put on down.
I look like a lion.
all right.
Us.
Shalom. Most High and Yahweh Shai bless. All praises to Abba Yahweh Hashem. Mashiach Yahweh Shai. So I said, all praises to the Father, God the Most High, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, humble word for Christ. What's up, y'all right now? Shalom. How you doing, Miss Moore G? What's up, Brother Felipe, Francisco, Miss Lady K? How y'all doing?
Let me get that.
Tell you what, you can just hang them up in the closet down here. That way they'll be here. We might not even need them this shirt. Yeah. Okay.
What you got? What you want?
What I want. Okay, just put it to the side. Okay, Israel, I gotta get out of here so we can get back out in the streets, all right? So, what's up, Brother Gregory? Shalom, y'all. Y'all share the video. I'm gonna leave it on for 10 seconds. Share it one last time, all right? Just one last time. Send it out. Show some love. Help support, all right? Tag somebody in it.
There are 1.
Oh, sorry.
Say it while you move. Say walk slow. Walk slow. Yes, Facade, I'm trying to get something with me to eat. Okay, that's how you
Stop running. Put it down.
So what's all kind of
It's
them card? This bag
They help you guys do
what about asparagus? Asparagus is good. Also, I love
Tag, please. Where you put that little stick?
It don't matter.
That sound like a good plan.
So you can't get upset when I say
Let me drink. No, let me drink and mine. Why would you want? I know that. Half. Exactly. Every time I look over the screen, every can keep every hour I'm not giving to the I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. It's 10 I have. Yeah. Right back to some people that are asking.
Am I saying it right?
She been over and but now she looking at me like I'm crazy.
No, leave it. I don't.
Because I need to smile.
you do though. You don't let me give her to nobody else, and if somebody else do got you watch the every.
Okay, Israel Shalom. Good night. What's up, brother Gabriel, Miss Tina? How y'all doing? Of course, y'all late. Class over. So we're about to head out. Y'all join us in the street, okay? All right. Shalom.